We're different here. We don't just get up for another day. We rise. We don't just work. We endeavor. We're women and men, for and with others. We have hope, we believe, and we celebrate. Why are we different?
So we can be the difference.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the EGFC. Lucky Week number 7 is about to get underway. My name is Soy, alongside me is Cap, and we've got the matches all throughout tonight. We're starting off with a classic East Coast battle. The Marquette Golden Eagles are taking on the Delaware Blue Hens.
That is right, Soy, and I mean, listen, I am all for, rooting for every team all the time. I'm here to watch some good Smash, at the end of the day. But I think it is worth noting that Delaware v Marquette is a repeat of Week 3, in which we saw Marquette take 1 point against Delaware. But it was from Bunboy on the Sonic, so we might see a good start for Marquette here. We'll have to see how Boost on this Roy handles, hopefully, a new and improved Marquette.
Bunboy has kept a couple of matches close. This Sonic has put in some work in previous weeks, but they're going to have their hands full with Boost on this Roy. Boost, pretty solid player for the side of Delaware. They've been pretty good overall this season in particular. Only gotten 2 chances to start, once against UTA where they dropped a set, but last time we saw them on this Roy, they looked very, very solid, and right now they've built up a substantial lead, 89 to 16% on stock number 1.
Absolutely. Boost, we do generally see on the Aegis swap if the Roy doesn't go well, but the Roy seems to be going well right now. Back air trading with that neutral B will certainly take 15% for a stock in this scenario.
Stock number 1 gone. Bunboy will look to try and get something on the board here, trying to get this Roy up to that kill percentage. They're landing some good chip damage here and there, but all of a sudden, Boost finds one connection, able to string together 20 off of those 2 hits. Gets grabbed, though, for hitting that forward air on shield. Up tilt won't be able to connect. Good parry from Boost. Getting at a disadvantage pretty well as this Roy, and that's a good key in a matchup like this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's very worth noting that Sonic as a character, despite what people may think about the play style, generally unsafe up close, right? A lot of Sonic's kind of pressure is keeping that spacing, really, really well, right? You just have so much speed. You have to absolutely utilize it. And Boost, on a character, one of the few characters that, while they can't necessarily run down Sonic, can keep pace to make it so that just like micro spacing game that you have to play is just that much harder.
The decision-making has to be on point when you are kind of a lighter character like Bunboy is wielding. The dash attack won't be able to kill quite yet. Boost is at 136, but able to get back to the ledge. Homing attack will only find shield here. Good forward throw to knock them off stage. Bunboy will opt to recover low. Not much Boost can do about it. Fight for center stage is on. Goes underneath, looks for a jab into the back air, and that's going to be the stock. Well executed by Boost, and that's 2 done for the side of Bunboy.
Tried and true jab to back air. We've seen it 1,000 times, and you'll see it 1,000 more before Smash Ultimate dies. Trying to find this first stock is Bunboy here. Any amount of points can help out in the long run. Plus, you never want to get 3 stock, right? You always want to take at least 1. So that forward air is not going to do it, but the follow-up edge guard could. We're going to have to see what the ledge option is. Ooh, but down smash, trying to call out maybe a risky, option on the ledge there, but not quite going to find it. Oh, and the down air, I'm going to assume was a misinput on Bunboy's part. So Boost does, fortunately for Delaware, get to keep all 3 of those stocks going into this game, too.
A 3 stock in game number 1, although that down air, thinking that they just wanted to go for the spike just to try and get one, played a little bit too risky with it and dropped the stock because of it. Homing attack here trading with back air, and that's how the match started, but Boost just, once they grabbed this lead, never lost it, and it felt like a game of Boost, when they connect a hit, it's going to be 2-3 strong hits and a good chunk of damage, whereas Bunboy is kind of a lot of one and done.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a DI in there, making that jab back air even easier for Boost. You definitely want to be DIing out as best as you can in those corner situations. I mean, listen, I think this match was definitely a showcase of it's kind of hard for Sonic to deal with swords, right? As much credit as I want to give Boost, because they are absolutely a fantastic player, it can be incredibly difficult for Sonic to get on swords. Like you saw, I mean, homing attack, I feel like it's just one of the most tried and true, hey, if I hit the shield or if I space it well, it kind of creates this zone that you just can't interact with. But a lot of sword characters can just kind of swing in it, especially a character like Roy, where, you know, you get close enough, those sweet spots are just taking you right off the side. I mean, it can be absolutely brutal to try to, again, get that micro spacing game going.
It's the classic brawler versus swordy, right? The fist is not going to be able to typically reach through the range that the sword has, and that's what you kind of saw there in that opening game. Boost had their spacing on point, made it very difficult for Bunboy to get in, and then when Bunboy got in, not able to string too many hits together to really rack up that percentage. Boost able to survive for such a long period of time, and then even though that last stock Bunboy just tries to steal one with a down air, still Boost, the fact that they were up to 180, very commendable on a character that doesn't have the best of recoveries, but it is serviceable, and right now, they are not worried about the recovery game at all. They are holding this stage, keeping Bunboy to the corner, and they're going to earn a stock off the back of it.
Yeah, another, I gotta imagine, SD coming out from Bunboy. You definitely had the time to wait out, just maybe getting a little nervous about the runoff, you know, forward air, back air, neutral air, what have you. But just, you know, that early air dodge is going to cost him the stock, and already looking at another 70% just about here. Boost is looking to close out on a second stock. Not going to make it in less than 60 seconds, but still doing a lot of work very quickly. Just letting Bunboy almost make their own mistakes in the corner here. That's going to be another jab back air. Just barely not going to hit that 60-second mark, but still, this is a tough spot to be in if you're Bunboy.
Smart defensive play there too. Saw the get-up attack coming, got the shield out in time, and then led to that jab back air. So that's stock number 2 gone. Boost holding center stage, waiting for Bunboy to try and do something here, because the emphasis is on them to try and mount this comeback, try and make a play. With Boost, how solid they are in terms of the movement right now is not getting any easier. Goes for another jab back air, but this time goes out a little bit too far with it, and Bunboy will be able to survive. Forward tilted off stage though, homing attack to get back on. Now maybe a spin dash, but only find shield, and that sword dance will just kill outright. 66% was all that it took, and it's a back-to-back 3 stock for Boost.
Yeah, I mean, that is a rough start if you are Marquette, but still have plenty of more Smash to play, still plenty of time to turn around that scoreboard. Yeah, that ST was just very unfortunate. I just got to imagine, right? You still have some upwards momentum. You can also air dodge, you know, upright. You have time. You just get a little nervous in the corner there. And again, like you mentioned, the impetus is on Bunboy for most of this game, which is not really the place Sonic wants to be. Sonic wants to be ahead in percent and then wants to let you make your own mistakes. But suddenly, when that character has to approach and has to, you know, start putting on the pressure, it can be very hard, and it kind of shows some of the glaring weaknesses of this character.
And there on that side B, I'm pretty sure he's DIing out here to try and run away. Yep, turns around and he's trying to just walk away, disengage, but too many hits that are just too strong, rack up that damage, and the knockback too on this move. Actually, you can see no blue streak there means that no DI coming through in that sequence, so just unable to hold on to that last stock means that it's back-to-back 3 stocks, and it's an 8-point lead right out the gate for Delaware.
And Delaware is not slowing down anytime soon. Looks like we've got Swift coming in next for them. Very, very good Sheik player coming out from them. And on the side of Marquette, we have, Extreme? I'm guessing that's supposed to be Extreme. XTRM. Apologies if I butchers any names. Who last time, I'm just looking at, you know, the score sheet for the last time we had these two playing. We did have Extreme on the Korin at the time, a character kind of rising in popularity, especially with, you know, as well as Shattuck and Neo from Japan has been placing recently a lot of events.
Extreme, one of the more veteran players on this roster. The Korin is the most practiced. Last last time we saw them play against Hawaii, they did change things up a bit. They went Villager, I believe, once throughout the season, and then they opted to go Terry as well. So I'd be interested to see if those potential picks come out, but I'm expecting to see the core in here. And like you said, likely against the Sheik. And Swift on the Sheik is just masterful with the movement. They are one of the scariest Sheik players we've seen in the EGFC. But Sheik, again, a character that kind of relies on the specifics, right? They need the sweet spot combos. They need those perfect setups. And that could be kind of hard against a character like Core.
Absolutely. I mean, I think at kind of a mid-level, not top level Sheik, because I think, a lot of characters, you can talk about them at a high level, at whatever level of play, but Sheik is definitely one of those characters where the very, peaks of the skill ceiling are vastly different to even like the middle grounds of skill for a lot of these players, playing this character. And I think it's important to note that at a mid-level, Sheik can just play neutral forever, right? It's kind of this joke that Sheik can't kill, but sweet spot back air, at even percents as low as like 120 will eventually kill, up airs off of the top platform of tri-plat stages can kill, sub 100% on some of these lighter characters. So there is absolutely the possibility of Sheik to just play this neutral game and not even necessarily need to hit any of the fancy combos or confirms, just use that movement, use those, use those needles, all these tools you have in your kit just to kind of out neutral the opponent. But Corrin is not necessarily the best character to do that against, right? A little bit of rage on this character in that back air is going to kill you at like 70%. It's absolutely, brutal to go up against. That up air also catches a lot of people off guard. It doesn't look like it should kill, but it will, and you absolutely have to be careful of it when you're falling down, from up above, which is also something she can really struggle with.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Swift does particularly well is close out stocks. I mean, they're pretty careful at those high percentages, so their defense is typically pretty strong, and their play around the ledge is also very notable. But getting into those circumstances is going to be, I think, something to watch for, because Extreme also is very proactive around the ledge. They are often trying to find that perfect two-frame on those recoveries using side B or even down air at times, I believe. The play around the corners of the stage is what interests me in this matchup, because that's where I feel like both players have found their ground back into series or found ways to take stocks. So it's sort of like a two-phase game. The early part of the game where it's at center stage, and then the later portions where you're playing around the corners. We'll see who wins each set or each part of that phase of the matchup. But game number one underway here. Back to PS2 we go, and Extreme on the core and Swift on the Sheik. And so far, we immediately go to the corner, and Swift starting to get some combos. Good parries early as well to help rack up some damage.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a good start for both of these players. Honestly, no one is taking a solid lead. Despite playing in that corner for so long, it really didn't feel like either of them had a particular advantage. Swift only really now taking the advantage state after leaving the corner, ironically enough, but that pin is going to make it very difficult for Sheik to contest at this range that she likes to, right? Hold on, we might be seeing a confirm here. Beautiful nair into bouncing fist, looking for the back there, not going to find it, but the up B will do the trick. Swift, honestly, an amazing confirm coming out to steal away this first stock. But like you were mentioning, it is going to be this two-phase game, and it looks like we're kind of seeing what Swift is bringing to the table in this second phase. What an amazing conversion.
Oh, and it's still going. Look at this. Great back air. Oh, tried to get the nair to intercept that recovery. Extreme going for a crazy option with the side B off stage, but unable to mark it down as a hit. Extreme getting comboed once again. Sweet spot up smash. Won't be able to take the stock quite yet. Retreats back to the platform. Now the side B comes through. Unable to take the stock. Swift gets knocked off stage. Both are back now. Neutral air only finds shield. Side B's back towards the center. But that's going to be needles to up smash from Swift. What a clean conversion that was. And it's a 2-stock lead.
And we're doing this on Wi-Fi, so I think it's the most impressive thing about what I'm watching. Is you got to imagine there's, on top of ultimate's inherent input delay, you're looking at, anywhere between 5 to sometimes like 7 or 8 frames of delay on top of this, and still, we are just assuming that we're going to hit these, I imagine, and buffering the inputs anyways, and it is working out for Swift fantastically.
Swift able to hold on here, but oh, this could be dangerous. No, he's able to roll around the forward smash there, the multi-hit. Able to get around that one. 85% now. High recovery here from Extreme. Gets the down air, but Swift, not too much knockback on that move. Up B will clank as well, and Swift will get knocked back to the stage, dragged down into the... They were looking for back air there. Down tilt knocked them up, but could not find the hit of that back air. Falling up air will do the trick. Catches Swift jumping just barely. The very inner hitbox of that move connecting. So Swift will drop one stock, the first one of Delaware. But these back airs are putting on so much damage. How do they get out of the corner? The answer is they can't. 2 hits of the forward smash, and the second one will kill.
That will do the trick here. Swift still 2 stocks. Still a very, very strong start of this set. We saw so many good conversions coming out from Swift throughout this entire set. And something that I really like, that I feel like a lot of Sheiks outside of the top level don't really utilize enough, is using that up B as your last resort, right? You've gotten the conversion, you've missed the back air, you've misjudged the spacing off the ledge. That up B, you are intangible for a good chunk of it, so just getting that little last hitbox on it to get that explosion off, it's a very, very powerful kill box, and a lot of people are just not ready for it, quite frankly.
And Extreme only able to take 1 stock there. That up B, that first stock too, that up B taking the first one. Thought Extreme's up B might just catch earlier, but instead it's Swift who gets the opening, and now an early bit of combo game gets them the percent lead, 32-12, as we're about 20 seconds into the match, and Swift already on the hunt for more damage, trying to find their way in. They do a very good job of kind of walking you across the stage with these aerial combos, be it nair, back air, up air there on the drag down. Look at these nairs being strung together as well. 55 now onto Extreme, but maybe something for Extreme here along this platform, continuing to find the shield. Roll in, gets caught by Swift, down thrown out into the up air. Corrin up high, and Extreme tries to land with the forward air, but down tilted around by Swift. Another intercept on that side B with the needles, and the chase down from this Sheik is crazy right now. Nowhere for Extreme to run to.
Oh, going to run off of the internet connection apparently, but that is just on the spectator client. They are still playing as far as we know. So, we will just unfortunately have to just share the results at the end of that one. We will find out how that goes down. But I mean, the chase down was nasty. I feel like we're seeing a lot of very greedy pins coming out from Extreme, where I like the idea, right? Because that kind of angle, that downwards diagonal angle, is a place that Sheiks like to play a lot, because it's very hard for a lot of characters to cover with, a safe, relatively safe hitbox. So she can just kind of lurk in that range and then react to the tech option. But I like that we're trying to cover it. I think we're just going for it entirely too often. Also, when we're missing these pins, you can just drop down to the stage, or you can just jump. You don't have to fling to either direction. You're not really committed to that action until you press the direction for the input. So, I mean, I'd just like to see that happen at least one time. We're not going to this game, obviously, because we have disconnected from the spectator client, unfortunately. But I just, even game 1, we didn't see any of these kind of neutral options where it's like, okay, I've missed, I'm going to reset. Feels like we're just swinging and missing constantly, and Swift is more than ready to take advantage of that.
Swift is a smart player, and they're recognizing that factor, right? Where it feels like Extreme is just, like you said, swinging and hoping something will land, just kind of throwing stuff and seeing what hits. Because Corrin is a type of character where, once you get that one hit, you can kind of, leap forward and take that next step. Like, okay, forward air lands, all right, and there's a big hitbox. Let's see if that works together, right? See, you can kind of string together those aerials just in a different facet from Sheik, because the way that Swift was going about it, it's a little bit more careful, right? You got to get something like a forward tilt, or string together some forward tilts first, a down tilt into some of those aerials. That's where the combo starter is. But that I think is credit to Swift's spacing. Their ability to weave around that massive sword and sneak under Corrin so many times. When down air is a constant looming threat, they are still able to get those down tilts, get those combo starters. And then once Swift gets that combo starter, it's like bread and butter. They just continue to, walk them across the stage, but through the aerial game. And it's really fun to watch as, the pace that Swift brings to the table is, I think, another factor here. Corrin isn't as fast as Sheik is, and yet Swift can still, use that to their advantage and weave around those hitboxes because of that pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Corrin is definitely a character where you need to stand your ground and hold your area. You want to try to make sure that that is center stage. You have, the most options of where you can go. But generally speaking, no matter where you are on the stage as Corrin, you want to be holding your ground and making sure that people cannot weave in and out of your range for free, which is just what Swift was doing, right? Again, especially with a lot of these pins just being swings and misses. You just have to be, more confident in, where you are standing. Don't be trying to, run at the opponent. You don't have to try to be right. I work with people whose English is not their first language, and it's rubbing off on me, I swear. You gotta not be running away all the time. You have to just be standing your ground and ready to swing and, punish greedy approaches or, trying to extend combos far past what they should be working with. And looks like we are getting confirmation that Swift did take the set, but only with one stock this second game, so Extreme definitely must have made some changes going into that game too that worked out for them.
And Extreme, again, is a player that the Corrin is their most proficient, and they are a player of adaptations. We've seen in previous sets where, they kind of see, what works in game number one and then change up the game plan a little bit in game number two, so they are able to take two stocks here at least and cut into that lead that Swift had built up. But it is the set going to Swift from Delaware, so they now extend their lead, and we're on a similar pace to the first time these two teams met. Like you mentioned, it was a massive victory for the side of the Blue Hens, but Marquette, the fact that they're able to keep things close shows you that it isn't all too far off for a lot of teams in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's not worth counting out anybody in a collegiate scene, outside of the couple of PGR players that we do have represented in some of these teams in the league. UDEL being one of them, actually, now that I think about it. You really don't know kind of the depth of the talent of a lot of these rosters. I mean, it's easy to look at a team get, blown out one day in what is, 0-2, but it was close kind of moments. But for one, you got to remember these are college kids. They have the time on their hands to sit and grind in this game for sure, in between classes and all the homework and stuff. But also, I mean, it's just you just don't know, right? The talents of a lot of these people are very malleable. You can see, almost complete playstyle shifts week to week from some of these people. So to see Extreme come in and, like you said, very adaptable, I think that's something that can describe a lot of the players in the school that we see here. Adapt or die is definitely something that is so important in EGFC. So UDEL has to stay ahead of the arms race. Might not necessarily be an issue this week, but, in the weeks coming, you got to just make sure that you're iterating and continuing to improve.
And Delaware does have that support system behind them too. It's a large esports facility that they have there. We've seen in a couple of their interviews, they've got the setup and a lot of extra eyes watching to help them kind of diagnose a game plan and spot different things if they decide to do some VOD review. But on the flip side, Marquette, I mean, it feels like when you look at the names on this roster, Extreme is kind of the one that sticks out because they've been around for a decent period of time. A lot of these faces from Marquette, there's been a lot of turnover. It's a lot of new names. Ant, Fralick, Bunboy even, is I believe one of the newer faces that was added to this roster either this year or last. So it's hard to, coach up some of these players when you're just meeting them. This is the first half of the year as we're approaching that midway point, but by now you start to kind of understand who you are as a team, start to build up that identity. And I think Marquette, it's about kind of sharing the knowledge and figuring out, what system's going to work, what characters are going to work, and what do we need to improve upon to start to really, punch back against some of these upper echelon teams in the EGFC.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key, honestly, for a lot of these teams who aren't necessarily, that much worse than the upper echelon teams, but still are not putting up the results that they might want to, is I think you really just got to start doing your homework, watching these VODs back. And that's not to say that teams aren't already, right? We don't, me and Soy, we don't know what's going on when they, log off for the night. We don't know how much they practice throughout the week, but I do think it's important to emphasize that if you feel like you cannot make up that gap in, just technical skill, raw talent, there are absolutely ways that you can combat that. And one of them is definitely, what we're doing right here, right now, right? We're broadcasting every single one of these matches. And in a game like Smash, you can see everything that everyone is doing, right? You can just kind of figure out motives of what people are trying to accomplish by watching how they move and, what they're trying to, basically fish for, because everyone's going for something, right? You're always fishing for a certain thing, whether it's, winning the neutral or trying to extend your advantage state, really heavily. I think Swift, for example, you could look at that past VOD and say, hey, Swift was just extending advantage a lot, and I think that was how he was getting a lot of their stocks. But that was then. This is now. We do have Emba coming in on this Pokemon Trainer, and then Firelick, like you already mentioned, coming in on this Donkey Kong. Interesting choice here, and this is going to be really hard for Donkey Kong to deal with this Squirtle, but the rest of the Pokemon honestly shouldn't be that much of an issue.
Yeah, my apologies on the mispronunciation of the name. You're right. Firelick stepping into the ring here on a new character, like you mentioned as well, the Donkey Kong. Not something we've seen from them in the past couple of weeks. They're 0-2 so far this season, but one of the players that I think has a very high potential. They love putting them here in this kind of third spot of the lineup where, well, we've talked about it, the third match of these kind of 5 sets is often a make or break match in terms of that point differential and keeping, setting the pace for those next 2 sets. So they love putting them in pressure cooker situations, and Emba will certainly be a lot of pressure to deal with, as that will be the tail, the back air, taking that first stock off the board. And Emba, a player that, you and I watched last year in the finals, shut down UTA in the clutch moments, and here they are again, rocking the PT.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't know if this is a character that Firelick is, particularly practiced on. Like you said, this is a new character. I believe we have seen them in the past on the link I'm seeing on the sheet is what they played into UDEL last time. But I do think it's worth mentioning here that this might be an unpopular opinion, honestly, but I think Donkey Kong is the most technical super heavyweight in the game. There's a lot of tech skill that is really important for this character, and, despite the fact that it's not as technical as someone like Squirtle, it's kind of hard to pilot this character in this meta. I think he's very good and definitely has a place, but there's a lot of things you need to do correctly, and that is not one of them. Not able to find ground again and just eating everything, quite frankly. And Emba is going to start this set off with a 3-stock.
Emba looking fantastic here. Look at this opening stock, the back air, well positioned, well timed. That's a move with a lot of lag, and he gets it perfectly onto Firelick there. Stock number 2, up to 117. The Ivysaur switch to Charizard, reads the air dodge back to, oh no, I see, he went for down B on the platform and got caught. That hand not quite able to extend through, the feet touch first, and the wings will take stock number 2. And then this combo here, Squirtle into Ivysaur, the switch, the catch on the up B, just a straight 90-degree angle, the neutral air intercepting that recovery, and then a second up B kills Firelick at 80% there. So very well done here. And now we get to see another character added to the palette here. The Bayonetta making an appearance this time around to go up against Emba's PT.
I am imagining that this is another character that we are not very familiar with. I feel like if you play Bayonetta, you play only Bayonetta, so I'm really... I don't have a lot of confidence here, I'll be honest, but we will have to see. I could be proven wrong here. But again, small things like watching that down B, you cancel the animation on the platform, stuff like that makes me think that you're just not terribly familiar with the character. And some small stuff with Bayonetta, you need to jump before you fire those uppies to get a little bit of extra height on your recovery, something that we've already seen Fire like, Miss Input are doing correctly. Makes me think, again, this is just a character that we're not entirely certain what we're doing with them. It's only 13% on Emba after taking this first stock.
And we should note, too, that this is a matchup that Emba is very familiar with. P3, excuse me, wrong number, is on this roster from last year. And so this is a matchup that Emba has gone up against one of the more proficient Bayonettas in, and they are executing this matchup very well. The Squirtle's putting in so much work here, as that's going to be another stock taken off the board. Firelick down to their last. And something I've commented on before, typically with PTs, I often, oh my goodness, that's not the stock quite yet. That was a good early upbeat from Emba to recover. But Emba on this PT, often when I see PTs, you think, okay, which one's the most proficient? Is it the Ivysaur that's just going to try and carry? Is it the fact that they're a more of a heavy player and the Charizard's going to put in work? Or are they a combo player that loves the Squirtle? And Emba at first to me seemed like they were heavily dependent upon the Squirtle, but the more I've watched them, the Ivysaur and Charizard have looked better and better.
Absolutely. I think it's important to have, all of the characters down, but like you said, Pokemon trainers do tend to have a favorite. I will say, I'm pretty sure Firelick should have survived that second stock. I think that was an SD. Again, not really understanding the mechanics of the Bayonetta here. Also, you gotta recognize side B in neutral, incredibly unsafe on Bayonetta, that you almost never want to use side B as a neutral tool. You're kind of using it as a tech chase or a punish on, a whiffed aerial. And it's just, I've just got to imagine that, again, we're just playing these characters that we are not familiar with, either, on random or we're picking them, but we just don't exactly know what we're doing. Yeah, you jump up B, and that, I believe, preserves your jump. I don't entirely know how it works, but I know that there is a way to preserve your jump or the up B by doing both at the same time. You cancel it. This is not what I was expecting. Marquette has run out of players, so we forfeit. Not able to get the whole squad together, but again, like I mentioned earlier, these are college kids. They do have stuff to do, despite the fact that they do have free time. What time they don't have is unfortunately not usually up to them. So, I guess that will just be it for this match. Just Delaware is just going to take it, I think.
Yeah, first three players at Delaware all doing very well for themselves, all taking sets here and shutting out Marquette. We'll get an official score later on as to the rulings for something like this. But, Marquette, unfortunately, unable to get the job done this week. But again, it's only a few weeks past from the last matchup that they played up against the defending league champions. So they knew they were going to be trying to climb Everest here, and it was a tough task. But I do think there is a light at the end of the tunnel here for Marquette. You do have players with talent. You can see that even in these games, there is a game plan. There's a general idea of what the player wants to execute. But the problem is that execution is easier said than done. And the players on Delaware, they're very smart. They catch on to those strategies more frequently than not. So Marquette, while this loss hurts, there is still hope for them this season, and it is still a midway point for them. Plus, they've got an extended break coming up. We've got a sort of bye week of sorts with Thanksgiving break coming up next week. So their next match being in 2 weeks gives them some time to kind of recuperate, find themselves, and figure out what the next step is. But like you mentioned, Delaware getting an official score here, 33 for the Blue Hens this week, and that's another massive victory for the defending league champs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think only missing like 4 points out of the total possible maximum. Yeah, I think there is a path forward for Marquette here. I think it's a rocky one. To be quite frank, I am not as optimistic as you for this squad. This might be a go next kind of year, but like you said, we're with plenty of time still left to play. I would like to emphasize to this squad, I don't know if they're going to listen to this, I don't know if they're going to watch this, but please stick to a character that you feel comfortable on. Doesn't even necessarily have to be good. Don't play off of the tier list, play off of what feels good to you and learn that character. And secondly, I got to imagine this is kind of what the Bayo was going for when you're looking at these side Bs in neutral. You're trying to get to the point where you can start doing the witch twist conversions and doing the combos and stuff. I always say to people who are trying to learn, don't learn from the best players in the game. Learn from the people who are beating you. Right? You have to be able to beat the 1-2er in front of you before you can beat the grand champ of super majors. So just take it one step at a time. I think it might seem like a really tall mountain at this point in time, but if you're just taking it one step at a time, you're learning what's in front of you, you're not getting overwhelmed with how much there can be to this game. I think there's absolutely a path forward, if even just to having some better games and learning, being able at least to even learn more from some of these experiences.
For Marquette, after that Thanksgiving break, they have a match against George Washington University. It's the 8:30 game in 2 weeks. University of Delaware, they get the victory this week. They have a final match next week against University of Hawaii, but I believe we will get a chance to interview a member of the Delaware Blue Hens after a short break. We'll get that set up, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello everyone and welcome back to the EGFC. We are joined by Swift from the University of Delaware after the Blue Hens pick up the victory over Marquette this week. Swift, congratulations on the victory, back in the win column, and the team looks solid. How do you feel about the team's progress this year?
We've definitely come a long way. Like, we started pretty high, but we've come even farther, which is like always like really cool to see.
And new peaks, we will always take those. Now, Swift, I have a question about the Sheik. Probably, you might see this coming, but I will say I did notice some of those turnaround up airs, and I did watch the new Void video on some of the combo lines that character has now that he's discovered this inner thigh forward tilt hitbox. I gotta ask, how up to date are you on some of these Sheik conversions, and do you actively seek out new ones, or are you just kind of more practicing what you've already got?
I generally am trying to get one thing at a time. So I'll like pick one thing to lab and then just go crazy for it for like a month or two, trying to get it completely consistent, or at least as consistent as possible. And then I'll move on to a new thing. So I actually haven't gotten around to doing practicing slow fall up air stuff, even though it does look very, very strong. I've instead been going for those like short hop forward air, reverse up airs, just because practically you get a lot more damage off of them than normal throw combos. And those combos are very hard to perform, so it's been taking me a while. That mixed with like schoolwork being a little rough, we just had like a bunch of midterms, finals are coming up in like a week or two, so a bit busy. But
I mean, you guys, after this week now, it's sort of like a 2-week break of sorts for at least for this scene, because you guys have Thanksgiving coming up, and then you wrap up the kind of first half of this regular season with a match against Hawaii. So is there kind of a game plan for the next 2 weeks of just between schoolwork or, studying up? What does the next 2 weeks look like for the University of Delaware?
Probably going to be more of the same. Like, we're all very good at managing our time for classes. As far as like a strategy goes, I don't know. I don't think we have anything in mind. We're probably just gonna like go in like ready for anything. Honestly, I feel like a lot of us are good enough to a point where we will probably be able to beat any team without any kind of preparation, aside from maybe like one or two, like UTA, George Washington.
I mean, if it works, it works, Swift. I'm just going to give you a quick softball real quick before we let you go. Just, any shout-outs you want to give, the floor is yours.
As always, shout out to our esports advisor, Kieran Ensor. He puts in a lot of work making sure that we can all do this. Really cool guy. Love talking to him. Shout out to my teammates. They played well tonight, even though we did only play 3 sets. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Swift. Congratulations on the victory, and we'll let you be on your way.
All right. Take care, guys.
All right, that's one set in the books. We've got 2 more matches to play out tonight, and they both should be a lot of fun. When we come back from this break, it'll be UConn versus William and Mary, the Huskies versus the Tribe. You won't want to miss it.
You all did great!
Until we get into the game here, but I mean, there's still definitely room to toy around with. I still absolutely have faith in this Connecticut squad.
Yeah, and again, this UConn squad, while they are still searching for their first win this season, there's been a lot of games for them where it feels like just one or two things change and all of a sudden a game goes their way. They get some more points on the board. It's one of the teams that, while they are towards the bottom of the standings, it feels like they still have a very high ceiling to capitalize upon. William & Mary, the story for them has always been they're one of the top teams in the EGF, but they haven't beaten the teams that have won the championship quite yet. That's been kind of their story, and similar this year, 4-2 with those 2 losses coming at the hands of Delaware and UTA. But like you mentioned, they handled UConn last time pretty well, and Speed Space looking to continue to rack up some points for his team if we can. But now we get to see that Incineroar, that's the tried and true of Greed here in game number 2, and Small Battlefield, the stage selection as well.
Apparently we had been muted.
Oh no.
Well, you know, hey, happens to the best of us, happens to the rest of us. I will admit this is my fault. I asked for us to play Smash Bros. I messed up all the settings. You know, blame me in chat, roast me on Twitter, but follow me while you're there. We do see the Incineroar swap, like we were mentioning, you know, already looking a lot better. That comfort of a character is just worth so much in the EGFC scene here, and not able to get that sweet spot doesn't really matter anyways. That, you know, upwards throw is going to definitely do the trick, but Speed Space not willing to go quietly into the night here.
Much more even game than game number 1, but Greed's still in disadvantage. Oh, they got the footstool here. Is that the stock? Yes, it is. They don't have time to swap the Charizard, and all of a sudden, Greed is able to steal a stock away. It's quickly answered back by the Charizard forward air, but still, Greed able to sneak one out there, gained the lead for a moment, and now we reset 2 stocks apiece here. The Squirtle was putting in a lot of good work in the early parts of this game, but Incineroar again just hitting like a truck. 3 hits, 57, and if that down smash connected, that could have been the stock.
Ooh, maybe looking for the back air there and not able to turn it around in time, or just looking for the forward air. I'm not entirely certain that the back air would have killed either way, but oh no, another one coming out from Speed Space. You're just falling a little too low. I won't call the first one an SD because there was definitely some element of skill on Greed's part in that footstool, but still, very unfortunate way to lose your stock here, especially your second one, if you're William and Mary.
Yeah, Speed Space getting a little greedy on the edge guard, drops that stock, but here, down low goes Greed. Oh, does not pull the trigger on the up B again, and thus falls too far, and just like that, 1 stock apiece here on game number 2. Speed Space trying to close out this series and lock down player number 1 of the Huskies. But an air dodge around, or sorry, spot dodge around the grab means that Greed has a chance to fight here, but down smash gets intercepted by that side B of the Squirtle. Ivysaur now out. Really difficult for Ivysaur to weave around the projectiles and the spacing that Ivysaur brings to the table. That multi-hit actually works, but there's a revenge. Ooh, down air actually saved Speed Space, but still, 1 hit connects, and all of a sudden, it's a combo into 90%. Both players in the red here.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what you know Incineroar for. Absolutely explosive up close, especially with those revenge attacks. But the side B to the up B is going to do the trick. I felt like Greed had everything that they wanted, but just couldn't find that last stock to close it out, and Speed Space is going to take our first match.
Close for Greed, but close, not gonna cut it. That footstool at 94 certainly helped, just barely around the nair, and then a well-timed jump from Greed just to get over top of Speed Space, gave them the lead, but only for a moment. Immediately after, Charizard comes down off a Halo and is able to seal that stock away, and from this point on, Speed Space, I do believe, held the lead pretty significantly, but Greed able to battle back late, but it was just too little too late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we did absolutely see that lead get held for a large portion of that last, you know, interaction, but I mean, what revenge into down air was just, it just did so much damage just in that one conversion. And I mean, that's kind of what the character is about. I've always said that Incineroar is in an even matchup if you are at least forced to approach him. And I mean, we kind of saw that come to fruition until we started abusing some more of those Ivysaur projectiles. And then it was just kind of lights out.
I mean, there at the end, Greed, kind of true to his name there, that was a greedy side beat to go for. Ivysaur is pretty significantly far away. It's pretty safe for Ivysaur or Speed Space to just side B, throw out that Razor Leaf along the ledge and cover a decent amount of options, and unfortunately Greed falls prey to it. Just like that, set number 1 done, over and dusted, put 5 points on the board for the side of William and Mary, and teams will be getting their second players into the arena momentarily.
Yeah, and it looks like we've already got William and Mary's pick again. Being the winning team, you do have to pick first going into these, you know, crew battle type scenarios. We do have Claytron coming out on, you know, listen, near and dear to my heart. I do love watching Claytron's Mewtwo put in work, but we do have on the other side of the stage, we're going to have Kuyan coming in for Connecticut. I mean, several characters, looks like. that we have coming out from this roster. I'm seeing Marth in Zero Suit Samus. So maybe have some more input and insight on this, but I'm just excited to see Mewtwo on the screen, if I'm being honest.
Now, this is a very different matchup. I mean, Kuyan, I think there's a little bit of emphasis on Kuyan because they're one of the few players for UConn that's been able to get points on the board for the Huskies in some of those closer matchups. But the ZSS is more of the more practiced, at least, from what we've seen on stream. They did, like you mentioned, have a Pocket Marth, but I expect to see the ZSS unless things go completely wrong here. But, I mean, you and I think we've seen a lot of William & Mary, and Claytron is a staple name to this roster, a veteran player. And I've mentioned this many a time, Claytron is often, while his record might be closer to 500 than you may like, it's often because he's going up against the upper echelon of the opponent's team. If you power rank your opponents, it feels like he's going up against 1s and 2s instead of 4s and 5s. And so he is a battle-tested veteran of this scene and a very proficient one. I think the only Mewtwo we've seen here in EGFC. So we'll see if Kuyan is ready for this matchup. Assuming it's ZSS versus Mewtwo, I mean, this is just a character battle that you just don't frequently see.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the weird ones. I will say any character battle involving Mewtwo is probably going to be one of the weird ones, but especially the Zero Suit into the Mewtwo, I think it's going to be really interesting. Something that Mewtwo generally struggles with is, I've said it once, I'll say it a million times, that tail hitbox, it's going to come into play here. You really don't have any disjointed moves on this character, despite the fact that you'd think that swinging that tail around gives you just so much free space, but there's a hitbox all the way through, or hurtbox rather, all the way through that tail, pretty much almost to the tip of it. So, if you're playing against Zero Suit Samus and she's swinging those aerials around, which are largely faster than Mewtwo's outside of maybe that, I believe it's frame 3 forward there that he's got in his kit, I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to operate in the airspace, but on the other side of the coin, Zero Suit is a character that generally likes to outmaneuver her opponents, right? She likes to keep in the sky, keep on the ground, just keep moving in a way that you cannot catch in Mewtwo. While not generally known for kind of the rush down playstyle, absolutely has that ability, an incredibly fast character on the ground, fast enough in the air to make it difficult for ZSS to maneuver around in a way that she thinks is beneficial to her neutral game plan. So I'm, just on paper, I'm putting this at a 50-50 for the matchup. It's going to be pretty difficult for both of these characters to operate their normal game plan.
And I'm wondering, too, where the characters will find their advantage. In particular, how are they going to be able to take stocks? I mean, when you think of ZSS in the way that, the killing blows that they're able to land, it's often the stun or something like the side B lingering hitbox, just having enough knockback to kill a character like Mewtwo, potentially very early, could be something to watch for. But on the flip side, Claytron, I mean, ZSS doesn't really have a great answer for Shadow Ball other than, like every other character, running away, essentially. Or, Claytron, like you mentioned, able to land that forward air pretty cleanly and convert it pretty well, especially with how fast it is. Can Claytron get their own combos on a character that, like you said, is very hard to track down because of their mobility? It's going to be interesting to watch how these players react to this unique matchup that you don't see every day. As we get things ready momentarily here, I believe they're going through picks and bans at the moment, but I think for this battle in particular too, is there a stage that you just want to flat out avoid or something along those lines? The one thing that comes to my mind is the weight differential here, because while ZSS isn't heavy, Mewtwo is one of the lightest characters in the game.
Absolutely. I believe 7th lightest or close to it at the very least. I think if you are ZSS, you don't want to go to Final Destination at all. I think Mewtwo, don't get me wrong, uses those platforms spectacularly, but those platforms are also going to be your haven against some of the more aggressive, parts of Mewtwo's kit here. That Shadow Ball, again, like you mentioned, not a lot of options. Even less options when you've got no platform to retreat to, right? You just have to kind of jump over it, shield it. You have to interact with it in a way that is pretty much always going to be disadvantageous for you. So I imagine we're absolutely going to be avoiding that. As well as I think we're going to see stages with shorter sides, like Smashville, I believe. is going to be, a little rough for the Zero Suit, as something that Mewtwo does have in his kit that I feel like not a lot of people utilize is just that raw double jump height. It can catch out that Zero Suit flip kick incredibly easily, right? If you can bait out that flip kick, rising back air, rising forward air, just rising anything, quite frankly, that's a kill move, and you can just pop her right back off the ledge and you put her in, do or die mode, and generally she's not making it out of those ones. So I would like to see kind of the FD and the Smash fill gone. As far as Mewtwo goes, you're Mewtwo, right? Your tail's huge. I don't think you really care where you're going. One of the few characters that I truly do believe has a pretty good, game plan for every stage, right? Platform, no platform, small ground space, large ground space. Yoshi's story slants even. He can abuse those pretty heavily with that down tilt hitbox kind of dipping over the ledge, allowing him to two-frame a little bit in situations where he wouldn't normally be able to. I can't see a place that you wouldn't want to see a Mewtwo, quite frankly. So I think it's just going to come down to comfort in terms of the ZSS player here.
And I'm also curious as to, I talked about where what moves would potentially be able to take the majority of the stocks in a matchup like this. But something that we haven't seen Kuyan do a lot that could be influential here, the neutral B from ZSS, and the way that Claytron will have to weave around that, because they have that side B as well. And throw out everything we just said, because it's going to be the Pocket Marth coming in instead of the ZSS. And actually, now the more I think about it, the more I do like the Marth here, because of the potential to kill very early with those tippers.
This is definitely, I will say, a much easier matchup against the Mewtwo. You don't have to worry. Your main game plan isn't disrupted as Marth. In fact, it's made even a little bit easier, but this is a character that does not have a lot of ranged options outside of that spacing on those aerials. So Shadow Ball, like you mentioned for the ZSS matchup, is also going to be a problem for Marth to deal with. I'm just now realizing also that we struck stages to end up back on PS2 anyways, but that is okay. Unfortunate SD here from Kuyan, but only the first stock of the game. We definitely still have time to make up for those.
Yeah, I think Kuyan just, oh no, that forward air hit so hard it broke the observer's internet. Oh no. We lost connection, but we'll get the results of that momentarily. Unfortunate stock dropped by Kuyan early there. I believe it was back air that they used right along the ledge, and then the end lag of that move just means that the up B comes out late. And even the momentum, right? They got pineappled by the stage. So an unfortunate early stock dropped, but I mean, like you said, still plenty of time to battle back in that sequence. So we'll have to see. I do worry though, because again, Claytron is, as we've mentioned, a battle-tested veteran, and with a lead against a player like Kuyan, it feels like the scales are starting to tip in William and Mary's favor after a stock like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think of Mewtwo with a lead as kind of budget stock, Sonic. Up a stock, the vibes. I'm standing on the opposite side of the stage, and I'm throwing Shadow Balls of every charge level. Uncharged, half charge, full charge. I'm keeping you on your toes. I'm making it so that you cannot approach me without taking at least some amount of percent from something that I'm doing to you, right? And that's all kind of Mewtwo has to do in those scenarios, which unfortunately, lame, call it what you will. But generally speaking, Mewtwo is a character that can get away with just trading from a standpoint of being in the lead, despite the fact that he is, one of the lighter members of the cast. You can just kind of chill out, let your Shadow Balls do the talking, and just try to maintain that lead as long as you can. But knowing Claytron, I kind of highly doubt that was the case, and as we are seeing, Claytron did win that game with a 2-stock lead, so still able to get a stock off of the Mewtwo there. Definitely good to see after that SD from the first stock, but unfortunately, without having seen the match, not really much to talk about in terms of analysis, so we'll just have to see if we see the swap here going into the game 2, or if we are going to stick to Marth, which is going to be the case. I don't hate it. Have a little faith in your characters. If you feel like you can muscle through the matchup, definitely go for it.
This only struck me just now seeing these two characters on screen, but in my head, I did not think Mewtwo was this big. Marth is significantly smaller than I thought. Mewtwo being a bigger body than Marth is just, I don't know, interesting to me. Caught my eye. But oh my, they get the down B, and that's going to be the stock off the forward smash. Claytron is not messing around here in game number 2.
Yeah, I mean, what a fantastic catch. I mean, it's something that you really don't want to be throwing out in neutral a lot, but against a character who's going to be just trying to space their hits on your shield, especially just falling aerials over and over again. Ooh, a little bit of a pineapple there. Trying to space their aerials on your shield over and over again, that down B is a little bit longer than some of those aerial hitboxes, so definitely worth... Oh, jeez. They're dropping like flies. I can't even get my sentences out.
Yeah, already so many stocks off the board. But no, I think again it's just Kuyan maybe more used to like faster aerials and just not judging the spacing correctly has dropped to another stock because of it. And Claytron is out for blood with these edge guards. He's immediately throwing Kuyan off stage, and look at his aerial positioning. He's looking to cover low, cover high a couple times. He's mixing it up, but he is absolutely no fear off stage right now.
Oh, I mean, I feel like we were just about at the end of it. Either way, I mean, 101% on Marth. Not the lightest character in the game, but I mean, at that percent, right, especially against Mewtwo, who has plenty of powerful kill options, even though it might not seem like it sometimes, the way those Sour Spot back airs don't kill, blah, 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 blah. I'm a Mewtwo player, I'm complaining. I would imagine that stock wasn't going to last that much longer anyways.
And we'll get the results of that match momentarily, but I mean, this is just... While we don't have a lot to talk about in terms of the set, we can talk about the players and the way that they have performed recently. Claytron hasn't had a ton of time this year in particular. This is just his third set through 7 weeks, and he's actually looking for his first win, which by that scoreboard update you can tell they've got it. They picked up their first win of this season, looking good, extending William and Mary's lead. But if you look at Claytron's previous sets, I mean, they, again, I talked about how they are often going up against some of the tougher opponents here at EGFC. They had a real struggle the last time they were out. They got matched up, I believe, against Small Left from University of Hawaii, which was rocking Pyramithra. And that match, it's the one time I've seen Claytron go not Mewtwo. They opted to try Donkey Kong, and Small Left still had their way in that series. But, I mean, ever since that, Claytron has just, seemingly stepped up. I mean, this is a player that consistently keeps things close, keeps things manageable. That was just the one matchup where it felt like things got out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Aegis, Mewtwo, I do not blame Claytron at all. It is another character that can wave around a sword and hit you from anywhere, except unlike Marth and Lucina and some of the Fire Emblem characters, incredibly fast and really hard to deal with and really hard to space around. It looks like we also did see Claytron into UT Arlington against, again, another heavy hitter, Atomic, on that Rob. Absolutely miserable matchup, honestly. You find out really quickly that top just kind of stops your whole kit, and that's when you pick a different character, quite frankly. But stuck it out in that matchup, couldn't quite find it, but did find at least a game against Atomic, which is, a 2-stock even, it looks like, which is not bad at all. But, I mean, Claytron off the sticks now. We do have Reviex coming in for William and Mary. Listen, guys, you guys are killing me with these tags. I love them, but I gotta say them, and I don't like that part. And then an easier tag, we've got Nate coming in next for UConn.
And I have a hunch that this is going to be a fast-paced matchup because Nate's got a couple different characters. He's got Inkling, Bowser, and Donkey Kong this season, and Reviex has been the Greninja player for William and Mary, and we haven't seen a ton of Greninjas here at EGFC, but against DK and Bowser, right, you think of the combo game that Greninja brings to the table, and that is, the biggest hitboxes for that frog to be able to potentially exploit. And even if not, they're going up against an Inkling who also has that ability to just kind of string together aerials for a lot of damage. And although you still might require some sweet spots for Greninja, Reviax has kind of proven in his time, in his short stint here at EGFC, that he can find those sweet spots eventually.
Absolutely, and I mean, Greninja, I feel like every Greninja that we have seen in the EGFC has been just an absolutely amazing player. Not going to see it today. We're going to see better Fox, as Lara likes to call it, this meat brawler here, and we're going to play the fun mini game here, chat. We're going to try to find out what the moveset is. We got the neutral B, we've got the shot put, we've got only the shot put. Okay, I think that's the only button that's bound on the controller, but I do like the dedication, 63% with pretty much only shot put and neutral, I think. Okay, so we've got the thrupper, we've got shot put, down B, I'm gonna guess is flip kick, side B, I'm gonna guess is the command grab.
We'll find out later, though, because there's that kick, flip kick and the up B to get back to Sage. Oh, that was nearly a shield pop, and I love the up B afterward. Somehow Reviax falls out of it. That was huge for them. That was potentially the stock. They might get one back here. They do. Down throw into the up B will shut down Nate's opening stock, and Reviax escapes with a lead here.
Listen, same archetype as Fox, but see Fox try to do down throw and up B, see what happens. You know, you're not getting the same result out of that. Not quite going to be fast enough there. That forward smash is going to come out and secure the first stock for Nate here. So back to 2-2 on the stock count, but not at all, you know, as even as the stock count might represent here. Still 80% on this Donkey Kong, which he is a big boy and he does hit hard, so you got to be careful if you're Reviax to try to maintain that lead without giving away too much.
Be very careful here. Gets grabbed though. Is this another down throw? No, instead just lets him mash out. Oh my goodness, the Donkey Kong punch. Nate just, no fear, goes right into the face of Reviax and says, yep, I've got armor on this now. What are you going to do? And that's going to be another stock thanks to the grab, cargo throw, and that'll be all she wrote for stock number 2. Neutral air hit onto Nate, but Reviax unable to follow up off the back of it. Maybe he can find something here. Back air gets parried. Nate knocked off stage once more, trying to fight their way out of the corner, and they do for the moment. 131 onto this Donkey Kong, so surviving up to the red, but they do have to be careful. Another grab. This time they don't go for the up throw. Dash attack won't connect either. Couple of backers, but that's going to be a side B landing, and Reviax has got to be very careful here. Nate has gotten Reviax up to 80%, and with all that rage, if he messes up, this is likely the stock.
Yeah, one good back air could absolutely do here. Honestly, one good neutral air as well. And I mean, we're already looking for those back airs out of shield. Knee brawler a little bit too short for those to land, and we are going to deal with the rage on that Donkey Kong, but still at kill percent. Even to another cargo throw here, the parry coming out. Maybe we're about to see a little bit of a comeback here, only 30%, but that is how comebacks start.
Would be massive for Nate here. They're still searching for their first set win of the EGFC. If they can take game number 1, they get UConn on the board, keep them alive here in this third series. Reviax, known to play careful and look for those setups, and they're starting to find something here. 55% on the Nate. Oh, the armor nearly knocked him down, but maybe a chance. Whiffs on the grab. Up tilt will knock Reviax away. They're up to 125, and these neutral airs and back airs are only finding shield. Neutral air by Nate will knock Reviax off stage once more. Swinging that forward tilt was Donkey Kong, but unable to find a hit. Now a down throw. Looks for the up B, and with all the rage there, steal the game. Reviax gets the win.
Yeah, really, really good stuff from Reviax. Is this supposed to be the Fortnite character I'm realizing? It might be. I'm not positive. But yeah, that down throw to up B with this thrust uppercut is absolutely something to look out for. I have to imagine, I want to see if we have DI lines here. It looks like we're holding in, honestly. I don't think, while yes, that move is incredibly strong, and we did have some rage on the Mii Brawler here, even that first stock that it took, I don't think it should have quite killed at that percent for a heavyweight like Donkey Kong. And it's you know, in the heat of the moment, could be a little bit difficult to parse, but you should be holding... I have no idea what direction we're holding here, but you should be holding out against this. And just unfortunately, maybe missing the DI, or maybe I'm just coping. I have no clue. But yeah, Prod chiming in. I believe that we're holding in on these uppies. It's just kind of a matchup knowledge. You have to hold out on this.
Something that again is probably unfamiliar. Not too many Mii brawlers that you'll come across just in general. But we see a complete switch up here for game number 2. Mii brawler gone, the Greninja back in, and Nate not opting to go with the heavies of past, now onto the Inkling.
The double character swap is not something we see often in EGF, but I'd imagine if you're Nate, maybe you're realizing, hey, I kind of got this win in some cheesy situations, or excuse me, if you're ReviX, you're realizing, hey, maybe I got these wins in some cheesy situations, so I'm just going to go ahead and swap, keep Nate on their toes, and Nate, maybe not liking getting tossed around for 80% straight. I get it, you know, maybe swap to a character that you feel like has a little bit more, you know, ground in the neutral department.
Good combo there from ReviX. Won't be able to find the stock though. Down throw instead here, potentially trying to find a push off with that up B, but won't be able to do so quite yet. ReviX good movement here, but they do get grounded. That's going to be a forward smash across the stage, so it won't kill, but likely wasn't going to at that percent. 106 right now on this Greninja. Another low recovery. They actually don't grab the ledge, and Nate could not find a way to punish. Bob will now catch as well, but they've got very minimal ink left here. Potential edge guard from ReviX won't find the mark, trying to find their way back to the stage. They get another grab. Looking for another throw here, and forward throw will do the trick outright. Not something you frequently see, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, definitely one of those throws that you gotta remember can kill in some of these situations. Looking for the tech chase on the platform, could have probably extended, but you know, maybe trying to get a little fancy with it, or maybe just believing that they had the reads off the platform. Either way, not going to work out, and is going to put ReviX in disadvantage here. That, yep, I was gonna say that grenade there on the Inkling is going to do the trick here. Greninja, definitely a character that can get away with some pretty crazy recoveries, but just not quite enough in this circumstance.
The chase down on these tech reads from ReviX are so clean. Uppies not to the ledge, and look at the follow-up. Dash attack into forward air, sweet spot and all. That's going to be stock number 2 gone and over. And ReviX only at 12% now on this second stock. Nate has a lot of work to do to try and bring this one back. Oh my! Water Shuriken into side B, and that's how ReviX cleans up the series.
What percent was that? That move is so strong, goodness gracious. I was not ready to call the end of this game. All right, 35 before the Shuriken. Post Shuriken, we're at 53, and that just kills. That's insane that kills at that percent, but I mean, it did. I don't know. I watched it happen. I'm so surprised. Maybe holding out a little bit, trying to drift away from the follow-up, but I mean, that was just an insane call-out by ReviX there to get that side B follow-up, and that will do it. That'll keep William and Mary in a very commanding position in this match.
Just a lot of surprising stocks in this set in particular. A lot of unconventional kills. Even the Mii Brawler set, you know, not realizing that the down throw into up B is a potential kill option. You know, catching Nate off guard with that was kind of the story of that set in particular. Just a lot of options that you weren't expecting to be able to take stocks, or maybe not in those instances, able to get the job done. And because of that, William and Mary now lead 16-0. But ReviX, they pick up win number 4 for them this season. The Mii Brawler also taking a game as well, so looking very, very good. Excuse me. For the side of UConn, Nate, again, still searching for his first victory. But again, for UConn, it feels like the players are just that close. It feels like it's just one thing here or there that they change. I mean, even Kuyan on the previous series with the Marth unable to, dropping 2 stocks just to aerialing off stage and not realizing how much end lag those moves have. Just small stuff like that. And all of a sudden, UConn could be right back in this thing. UConn could take these sets, but William & Mary's execution just stronger right now.
I mean, like I mentioned in the previous match tonight that we watched, you got to be able to beat the 1-2 in front of you before you start, worrying about those esoteric concepts that you often see at the top levels of Smash. And to their credit, I do think, honestly, that UConn has kind of a grasp on some of those harder to grasp concepts. I feel like the neutral game is there. I think we have a game plan going in, but it just feels like we're not able to connect with some of those bread and butter, those just walking before you run type things where we're just like, hey, don't aerial when you're next to the ledge if you can't make it back, and watch the direction you're DIing in when you kind of know what the move is, that down throw and the up B. We saw it happen twice, and both times we saw the DI missed. At least on the second one, I would have liked to see that corrected. At this point, you kind of know that is a thing that you need to account for. I will be honest, and then they got kind of cheesed. I'm not gonna pretend otherwise. I'm not gonna pretend that's a bad thing. I mean, using the element of surprise, swapping those characters, not even using the side wheel in the Meat Brawler, so still don't know what that is in the moveset. Keeping your opponent on their toes is absolutely a big part of the game, the mental game when you're playing Smash, but I think if you're Nate, you just kind of know what to look out for next time. That truly is, I think, like the big difference in those sets, because it felt like Nate, like you mentioned, had a pretty solid grasp on a lot of things that were happening. It's just, again, those down throw to up B and like that shadow sneak off the ledge killing at 50%, which is, again, still insane. That move is so strong. You just gotta chump checked, honestly. And if you're avoiding those next time, I could absolutely see Nate taking that set.
And credit where credit is due to ReviX for being able to find those advantages. And like you said, sometimes the bread and butter has not connected for UConn this series, whereas William & Mary feels like they get everything off of the bread and butter. ReviX in particular, think of the chase downs and the tech scenarios. They're getting dragged down up airs and continuing the combo off the back of it, getting dash attack into forward air and connecting it consistently. It only came up once this series, but we've seen it in previous weeks, so it shows the expertise that William & Mary have, and they're able to get a massive lead off the back of it, but means that William & Mary, they got this set win. They've got a 16-point lead now, and they'll be looking to send in their next player, which will give UConn the chance to counterpick.
Yep, we do have those players. We have a little bit of an issue with the lobby again. I mean, if you've been watching, Nintendo is not on our side tonight, but we have Sir Winston III coming in for William & Mary versus Wrath on the side of the Huskies here. I always gotta remember it's not the player that I think is Wrath. It's different Wrath. It's a very common tag, I imagine, but there's always just that little bit here. But while we work on getting this set up, we're gonna do a quick Control F here, because I actually don't, because I know that, yeah, okay, so Cozy Wrath and Wrath are two separate players here. Looks like Wrath is the Palu. I always get them confused with each other. Coming out from Connecticut, pretty good character, and we've lost Soy apparently. I just looked back and noticed.
I think I'm here.
You're here.
My computer says I'm here. My camera says here, otherwise.
Yeah. The camera's disagreeing with you.
I'll be commentating from the void this set. I think that's what we're establishing. But either way, yes, like you said, Wrath a different player than Cozy Wrath. Cozy Wrath, one of the veterans of this team. Wrath a newer face, but both players we've seen get a lot of time. Wrath in particular, kind of rotating through the high tier characters. We've seen Palutena, we've seen Joker, we've seen Pyramithra. Wouldn't be shocked to see them go back to any of those, or potentially another one on the docket for Wrath. You mentioned Sir Winston III getting locked in as the player for William & Mary this set. A player that we haven't seen a ton of, but we've seen on some interesting characters, the Banjo and Kazooie being the most prominent, and also the Pocket King DDD.
Those are characters in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Almost the opposite, if you think about it, of the Wrath picks. But I think something that's interesting to note about these Wrath characters is that, yes, they are cycling through the top tiers, but also smartly, I would say, cycling through the top tiers that in, you know, the grander scheme of the Smash Ultimate meta don't require nearly as much you know, investment into the character. Granted, you know, the ceilings for these characters are incredibly high, especially Joker, but, you know, at the skill floor, if you're able to move around and operate the character as you want, you can still see pretty good success as long as you're spacing right, you're not throwing things out willy-nilly, you know what your safe hitboxes are, you know kind of what to look out for, where your disadvantages are, and you can see a lot of success with these characters without having to put a ton of time into them, with, again, the exception maybe being Joker, but I still would argue that at a lower level of understanding with that character, you know, if you're not grinding them 24/7, you can absolutely still see plenty of success with them, so we'll just have to see what is brought to the table tonight. But Banjo and King DDD, both characters that are going to be playing the neutral in, you know, a pretty different way than you see most of the cast. You know, King DD wants to kind of control a bunch of space with the Gordo, and Banjo-Kazooie wants to control the space with just all of it. Just everything in the kit, I feel like, is designed to control space. Not necessarily built to combo, not necessarily built to kill super early, although some of those moves, especially that forward air, is, you know, they can put out a hefty amount of damage and knockback, so you gotta watch out for them for sure. But if there's anything Banjo can do, it is space control, one of the best at it in the game, in my opinion. So it's going to be really interesting to see that into characters that are kind of designed around winning the neutral game through spacing.
And I think with winning the neutral game through spacing, it kind of puts the emphasis on the situational awareness and decision making for Sir Winston, right? Because if you're rocking the Banjo, you have things like the Wonder Wing, where you only have so many uses, but it is an ultimate trump card. It has the armor to break through anything, and it has so much distance, and it's got so much knockback right at the start. If Sir Winston's able to, you know, use that move properly, could potentially take some stocks very early here if Wrath puts themselves in a dangerous spot. And if the King Dedede comes out instead, like you mentioned, the Gordo, a massive part of that kit for King Dedede, but when do they opt to use it? At what point of the game are they, you know, throwing it back potentially for a battle of just, you know, ping pong action, or are they, you know, going to be a bit more of a scrapper, use the fast options like neutral air to try and just go in and get something started, something like down tilt as well. So I think the emphasis is on Sir Winston to be able to at least be situationally aware of what options they can go for and how much can they get off the back of it, whereas Wrath, like you said, they're pretty well-rounded and can certainly take stocks with all these characters, but if they are making poor decisions, all of a sudden Sir Winston, the kill threat of those characters comes online very quickly.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think, you know, as Wrath, with all of these characters that you're playing, the game plan is the same, but that decision-making, like you said, is going to be really important for Sir Winston III. Personally, I think I'd just like to see the Banjo, just because I think Banjo has a much better matchup spread, not as abusable off the side of the stage, especially by these characters who have pretty disjointed aerials, or if you're Joker, you have a gun. It's going to be hard, no matter what, to kind of operate in the space that you normally want to, and like you said, that decision-making, especially on some of these laggier spacing options, like Gordo, like the down B coming out from Banjo, you really got to be careful about just chucking those out in the middle of the stage when you have a Palu sprinting at you, trying to, you know, down throw you into 4 nairs in a row. It's really going to come down to if we can play the keep away game well enough, or if you're Wrath, it's going to come down to if you can play the game well enough. This is neither of the characters that we were expecting. Let's just see if Wrath has memorized the combos.
So, interestingly enough, if these tags are correct here, yes, sir. Wait, hold on. I'm forgetting now which was. Either way, look, Kazuya and Palu. We have not, we've seen Palu from Wrath before, but not from Sir Winston. And like you said, we'll see if they know the combos or not, but this is yet another top tier for Wrath to add to the list.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do want to. These are the right tags again. I'm pretty sure, but yeah. I mean, this is certainly. I think it's funny. I just mentioned how all these top tiers have the same thing in common, and then we go ahead and play a character that isn't, any of that, which is kind of making me doubt whether or not the characters are correct, because this is absolutely not the same game plan. This is a character that has a very, very different game plan, almost entirely advantage state based and just fishing for those openers. But is Pablo Sir Winston? Okay, Sir Winston is playing Kazuya. All right, we do have confirmation. That makes a lot more sense. Okay, I was gonna say, but either way, we are seeing Wrath find that opening stock here on this Kazuya.
Yeah, a good lead here early for Wrath. Again, Wrath, one of the players that is still searching for their first victory, but they've had a lot of close matches, a lot of 1 stocks, 2 stocks here and there, and now they've got a lead against Sir Winston. They're looking good, but they are getting comboed here, and they're off stage once more. Low recovery here from Wrath, or from Sir Winston, and they'll be able to make it back to the stage. Paladin doing a good job of holding it until that command grab comes through. Not able to take the stock quite yet, but the up B catches the jump. Smart play there from Sir Winston, and that's 1 stock off the board.
Yeah, that is a strong hitbox all the way through. Definitely important to note that. So we do also still have Rage online here, so a potential, extra 40% being added on to this stock here. I can definitely see that we're looking for it. Getting these up airs instead. We'll take what we can get, certainly, but this Rage is on a timer. It will eventually subside, so there it goes. We are not able to make use of it in this second stock. We might have to see if it'll come through in the last stock, but again, kind of rinse and repeat. The first stock just not able to get off this ledge. We'll see if this will lead to a stock conversion.
165. Oh, he just barely got around that neutral air. Used down air here, and that stuffed Wrath's attempt at a reversal. Good patience there from Wrath to hold shield on that up B. Maybe a chance out of the corner, and they will get the forward tilt. Just a lingering hitbox will do the trick on that much damage. So Sir Winston down to their 3rd stock. Grab combo here from Wrath to help rack up some damage, but we've seen Kazuyas pull off these types of comebacks before. 62%, but they can't fight through the quick aerial game that Palutin is bringing to the table. These forward airs poking away. A command grab will whiff. A dash attack will punish again. A neutral air will land. Sir Winston's up to 101. Now maybe a chance here, but dash attack again, barely able to fight through. Explosive flare will not connect. Maybe a chance here at the fight for center stage, but still, Wrath weaving around just enough of the hitboxes until that one comes through, but still not enough. Wrath surviving at 117.
40%, like I mentioned, that is a free 40 there, but not quite going to do the trick cross stage, but that up air certainly will. Center stage, cross stage doesn't matter. That up air will get the job done, and that is a 2 stock for Wrath here. Not quite falling to that Rage, which would have put us at, just a 1 stock lead.
Very well done by Wrath. Grabbed the lead, never lost it. And it just felt like Wrath Sir Winston had to work extra hard in this matchup in order to try and get things going. And it felt like Wrath, that speed, that pace on the aerials, just a little bit faster, and then just enough lingering hitboxes. I also want to say, we were talking about decision making. How many times did we see Sir Winston's hits not connect and Wrath get a small punish off the back of it? And those small punishes really racked up, almost made it a death by 1,000 cuts type of game. And yet, more like, even though it was that type of style, you think of that as being a more dragged out type of game. No, this was pretty fast of a match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I will not call Kazuya overrated by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's terrifying to fight against, and I think he has that reputation for a good cause, but I think a lot of people oversimplify the game plan. You gotta land those hits first, and that can be incredibly hard to do as Kazuya, right? Even with that crouch dash, it's not necessarily easy to close the gap in a meaningful capacity, especially against a character who has disjointed hitboxes like Palutena, especially that invincibility on the back air and the dash attack. You got to remember that shield means that she cannot be hit for just a couple of frames there, and that is basically Kazuya's whole gimmick, so having it turned against you, it must be really rough. And again, like we're seeing here, we're seeing the approaches, we're seeing the come in, but you just can't get in. You're getting stuffed out by these aerials, stuffed out by the reticle. It's just, I mean, if you're Sir Winston here, what do you do about this neutral menace that is the Palutena? Nothing, as we haven't even touched Wrath here on their first stock.
Love that from Wrath, a 0 to death to start things off here, and already putting Sir Winston on the back foot. Grab comes through here. Good combo incoming here from Sir Winston. Look at the chase down as well. Able to read Wrath's roll, and now an up smash, but it won't kill quite yet. 100% dealt very, very quickly, but still not enough. Down tilt. Oh, that's an air dodge. We'll be able to make it back to the stage though. But it's still Wrath surviving and getting so much extra credit off the back of it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, again, Sir Winston, honestly, all things considered, in this disadvantage is not playing terribly, but then we kind of, you know, Wrath leaves off of the pressure for just a second and kind of gives Sir Winston the room to make their own mistakes, and with no direct pressure or impetus to do anything, it feels like Sir Winston just feels a little bit lost in the sauce here. I mean, 153 on this second stock, forward tilt not going to do it, but just about there. That neutral air should do the trick. It will. 1 stocks to 3, 100%. Just about any aerial, honestly, off of the ledge here from Kazuya will kill. So I imagine we're at least going to be seeing 1 stock taken, but I might have spoken too soon. 62% on Sir Winston, make that 75, and we're back to the ledge.
So much damage off of these aerials. The neutral air connecting for so much. Up B won't kill off the top quite yet. Again, that lingering hitbox connecting. That one, again, on Kalos, too tall. Great awareness there to down B, realizing that laser was incoming and is able to avoid it. Dash attack catching the landing again. Wrath taking so much off of seemingly just a nothing interaction, but back air to knock them off stage, and explosive flare will get the job done. That's another 2 stock, and UConn's Wrath picks up their first EGFC victory.
So I think there's actually a 3 stock coming in. I that is my fault. I kind of just assumed we were gonna find one, but I mean, just the overwhelming advantage state here, making it so that Sir Winston just couldn't even find that first stock off of Wrath here. I mean, listen, I mentioned it before the set here, that even if you're not playing these characters at, you know, the peak of the skill ceiling that they can operate in, I mean, genuinely, tell me, I want you to watch that whole set back. You tell me one single thing that Wrath did that was, you know, a Palu specific tech, or like, you know, just any kind of combo string that wasn't pressing neutral air 4 times in a row, right? It was just all advantage state, right? It was just all spacing. It was knowing when you can and can't commit to things, that, you know, those keeping some pressure on off stage, but not necessarily pushing off stage, as to give Sir Winston kind of the room to make their own mistakes. Like I mentioned during the game, it just felt like Wrath was the better player in that set, in a pretty dominant manner. As a 2 stock and a 3 stock going to be coming out to close out that match.
My apologies on the 2 stock comment. My screen was a little pixelated, but it's like you said, a 3 stock. And Wrath, again, a player that has gone up against some tough opponents and was searching for their first victory, and they get a massive one here. 7-point swing. That's the largest of any victory for a set for UConn this season. So Wrath with a big one there over Sir Winston third. I mean, like you said, they just seemingly got everything they wanted, and like you said, their control over the set, not allowing Sir Winston any window back into the game. Sir Winston had to work so hard just to get damage on the board, and even when they get things like the command grab at high percentages, having the DI be correct to be able to survive that move. going to a stage like Kalos, the awareness to say, hey, let's go to a big stage to make sure I don't die early to this heavy hitter. That's just smart play and smart picking by Wrath overall, and that helps them secure that victory. So Huskies on the board here, 7-16 as we get ready for our next set.
It looks like we are going to have Cozy Wrath coming in for Connecticut here, while on the opposite side of the aisle we are going to have Semi_RS. I apologize if that is short for something, or if it's just Semi. I feel like I'm used to seeing just Semi. I don't know if this is like a recent change, or if I just have shortened it to Semi in my own head. But it looks like we have two characters with very large swords, Corrin and Shulk, possibly the picks here.
Yeah, Cozy Wrath has kind of rotated between the sword characters. It's mostly been Roy and Shulk for most of his time in EGFC. But like you mentioned, Semi rocking almost exclusively the Corrin, at least the Corrin so far this year. And when it comes to this kind of sword duel, it is very odd, right? It feels like when you typically think of swordies, you think of a little bit faster pace and just constantly walling you out like Shulk can typically do. But Roy can kind of go about it in a different way. Corrin isn't the fastest, but the damage can still come online very early. So we had a match like this, I believe, just last week in a similar style where it just kind of, the emphasis still feels like it's on Semi because of how clunky it feels, I guess, because of the way that Corrin likes to move around and the control other swordies bring to the table. But we are seeing the Shulk versus the Corrin here for game number 1.
And already off to a pretty good start if you're Cozy Wrath here. A lot of pressure being put on with that speed Monado. We're going to have to see what we can do without it, though. Buster going to be, not even going to risk it, going straight to shield the second we lose that advantage state. I do like that. This is a practice choke we are seeing into the jump art here to kind of keep that neutral presence going, and then cycling back again to the speed. We are cycling through these Monados at an incredibly quick pace here. But Semi, not getting thrown off by these, getting the hits in when they can with this Corrin. I think, like you mentioned, the impedance is going to be on Semi here for a lot of this. Corrin can feel very clunky. It kind of comes down to the skill of the player to make Corrin feel, like a smooth character in the neutral game. I think Semi doing that fantastically here, finding a quick pin here to close out the first stock from Cozy Wrath.
First stock gone. 68% until that throw. Cozy Wrath now looking at Smash Art, looking to potentially take the stock early if they can. Forward air will wall them out. Oh, up B. I actually love the scoop up stage there, but won't be able to take the stock off the back of it. Smash Art was gone. Cozy Wrath sitting at 40% here, looking for a way to take this stock. How do they find it? They're trying to keep Semi in the corner, but a reverse up B not going to do the trick. Shield Art now used, so Shulk, one of the heaviest in the game. Maybe some room for Semi to find some combos, but again, not too much earned here. Semi doing a good job of making sure if one hit connects, that's really it for Cozy Wrath.
Yeah, I mean, Corrin is a character, despite kind of how her kit looks like it operates, is absolutely a combo character. But side B with the Smash Art is certainly enough to kind of catch Semi off guard. They're going to lose the first stock to even cross stage, but still 100% on Cozy Wrath, well within range of a good pin or a good back air here.
Trying to stick with it, but still a lot of work to be done here for Cozy Wrath. They don't find the grab there, and they get reversal. That back air will just kill. Only 22% here onto Semi on this stock. Buster Art out. Maybe they can get a lot of it back here, and they do. That was a good chunk of damage off of that forward smash. Smash Art now online, and they will find the stock. Cozy Wrath, the wall, the forward air, able to take one down, and all of a sudden, it's a tie game.
We have evened the stock and percents here. Really good stuff coming out from Cozy Wrath to keep their head in the game here. Feels like Semi maybe getting a little bit shaken. We're seeing a lot more fishing than we were in the beginning of the set. I feel like we're playing a pretty, standard neutral game for a while, but now it feels like we're just kind of looking for our big hits. And, credit where credit is due. That has been working out for them this stock, but I think it is what cost them the last two. And, you know, if you're William and Mary here, I imagine you're hoping that it doesn't cost Semi's last one as well, as it won't, as that back air will certainly do the trick here. 34%, but I feel like that's definitely one of those situations that you've mentioned where it was, you know, 0-2, but it was close. That was very, very scarily close there for Cozy Wrath, or for Semi rather, especially after seeing how quickly that second stock evaporated.
Yeah, that second stock was well done by Cozy Wrath to deal away with, but still not enough. Semi takes game number one. Looks good doing it too. I mean, while things did get dangerous, the fact that, like you said, they were able to get that W with only a little bit of percent online here. We'll see how Cozy Wrath takes this one, because this was very well done. Down tilt. Oh, I see the back air. Semi just trying to get themselves closer to the stage, but that back air, a lot of time wasted on that one, and thus Cozy Wrath was able to sneak in. Now we've got a complete change up here. The Corrin tells you that's still Semi, but this is going to be Cozy Wrath on a character we do not see very often. The Belmont has entered Final Destination.
Now, I like the idea here, right? You put a character on a single plane, you force them to deal with all the Belmont projectiles, especially on Wi-Fi. It can be a lot more difficult to deal with, but I will say, I think people kind of undervalue platforms in the Belmont matchup. Like, I get the idea for playing a character that generally has a more camper play style. You're putting him on Final Destination, so you kind of put him on, you better dodge this or you're going to get hit by it, but Belmonts have a fantastic time covering those platforms, both with those aerials and with that down B specifically in the side B. You know, the cross, I think platforms, quite frankly, help the character out a lot, so I think we're missing out a little bit by going to FD and then swapping to the Belmonts. I would have liked to see them actually on Pokemon Stadium too, to be honest.
They opted for Final Destination here, and so far, still a stock yet to be dropped, but it is a significant lead for Semi. 68 to 114. Good dash attack underneath, fighting through that side B of Semi RS. Maybe a chance here. Well, they try and break through the space again with that side B, but unable to do so. Lots of projectiles to weave around, and something we haven't seen from Semi. Again, Swordies traditionally struggle with the projectiles because they get out-poked, but here, Semi says, well, you've got to scrap with me at some point, and he wins those trades. Up air will trade with down air and take the first stock.
Semi, I want to see it up a stock, you know the vibes, but unfortunately the vibes are not good here on Final Destination. We do find that forward smash on the Belmont, going to cover half of the stage basically when you have no platforms. Again, not a bad idea to go to the Final Destination, just wouldn't have been my personal choice. And we're kind of seeing, we're seeing the fruits of the labor here, not able to get off that ledge there. Semi feel like playing maybe just a little bit too impatient on the ledge there, maybe getting a little bit frustrated by all the projectiles. I certainly get it, but you just gotta play patient. I feel like Semi was doing fine in this neutral, situation for a while. We just gotta slow down, calm down, and find those hits again.
Air dodges back to the ledge there. I thought we might see a forward air instead, but I like the idea. They down air back to the stage. Cozy Wrath doing their best to hold on to this lead. 2-1 in the stock count. Good grab, extra damage. Semi up to 38% now. How do they get in against this wall of projectiles that the Belmonts bring to the table? They're able to roll around this side B a couple of times, but the axe is lingering. Now another down B. They have to jump in. They find a forward air. They're not able to find anything afterwards, though. The side B doesn't do all that much. They can't get a second hit off. Now another side B connects into the axe. And all of a sudden, Semi's up to 99% here, trying to fight their way out of the corner. They don't find the pin. Low recovery force once more. Up smash, now a forward tilt used, and Cozy Wrath just covering every option on the table right now. They went for the forward smash, it does not land. Falling up air will, but Cozy Wrath now forced to the outside of the stage. A down smash will do the trick here, and that's going to be game 2 going to Cozy Wrath.
Yeah, just a little bit of a chump check there. I imagine, honestly, we're not going to see the Belmont come back out. I think that was a one-time we got Final Destination kind of pick. I also imagine that we're just straight up not going to go to Final Destination again. I think it's a very polarizing stage for a lot of players, myself included, as I've mentioned several times already. But we'll have to see what this Game 3 has in store for us. Honestly, I was not at all expecting the Belmont, so I feel like, you know, could be a cat's out of the bag moment. You know, maybe that's just the strat, but if it's not, and we have even more characters, you know, in the back pocket, I just have no idea what to expect here, Soy.
We've seen a couple different characters. This is the first time I think Cozy Wrath hasn't played a sortie on stream, so interesting to see. But again, I think looking at it from the perspective of, hey, once I believe fourth set dropped their opening stock. Once Wrath dropped one stock in that first game, hey, it's out of reach. Why not experiment a little bit? Might be the case here for William & Mary, but they're giving away some points because UConn is still fighting to stay alive in the EGFC. Although it is still the first half of the season, we talk about it all the time. These point differentials and round differentials do matter at the end of the year, and UConn are scrapping to keep things close as per usual. Can they steal one back here for the final match between these two? Game number 3 on Small Battlefield underway.
Now, hopefully, you know, we're going to see from Cozy Wrath here the advantage that the Belmonts do have with these platforms, especially at Small Battlefield, right? These platforms are just a beautiful height for Belmont to be able to cover. That, you know, one full hop there is just like puts you kind of just at the perfect range to deal with just about anything that any character is throwing at you. And I mean, not working out so far, although I wouldn't necessarily attribute that. Oh, no, actually finding the strong spot. Oh, you can't hold that. You gotta roll out. There it is, and going to find the shield again. Almost getting popped, but not quite. We are kind of seeing why maybe we saw Cozy Wrath on that Final Destination, but I would attribute that more to Semi being more prepared. Just like in that situation, we're going off stage for this. We're realizing that, hey, listen, Belmont can't really do anything about this. I'm just going to walk off and back here, and it's going to work. It absolutely did. Fantastic call out by Semi.
Cannot find the up air there. Maybe a reversal here from Semi. Nope, instead it's Cozy Wrath gaining the edge, holding control of the stage for only a moment. Now off stage, forced to recover low. Oh, wow, the side B there, unable to connect. And it's now going to be Cozy Wrath forcing Semi to the corner. Can we find the opening? No, not quite yet. Knocked off stage once more, but still, Semi holding all 3 stocks, looking good as long as they can continue to hold this lead. But this could be a chance, and Cozy Wrath whips on the up smash, but they will find the forward smash. That's stock 1 off the board.
Wait, listen, you cover the Y-axis, you cover the X-axis. Surely, you know, one of those is going to do the trick here. And fresh stock here for Semi. Plenty of room to work with. Not going to be playing at all into the Belmont playstyle, though. Still going to keep the aggression up. Listen, Semi's like, it's getting late. I got bedtime soon. You know, I got an 8 a.m. tomorrow. We got to get through this. As we see, even though we are up almost a full stock in percent, we are still just slamming our face into the Belmont here. Might actually work against them in this situation, and we are slowing down now. I hope I'm not mid-coaching. I hope that we're not listening to the stream. But, I mean, yeah, I think Cozy Wrath has been making up some ground here just off of Semi's impatience, despite the fact that Semi realistically has absolutely zero incentive right now to approach in this situation.
Get back through off stage here. Oh, and they get caught too. That's one of the few times that down B has caught along the ledge. Good patience, and there, the cross bailing them out. But up air, nearly able to kill, but not quite yet. Side B gets stuffed by the shield, down tilt off stage. Cozy Wrath will take any bit of extra credit they can earn on this stock. They're able to make it back. Maybe a chance if they can get out of this corner, but instead, Semi locks it down. RS able to find that up air, and all of a sudden it's 1 stock apiece here. With 3:40 on the clock, Semi opting to just back away. The agency has been on them to try and find ways in against this wall of projectiles. You commented, it's done a lot of damage, but when they get in, look at this. They're starting to gain the lead back.
Yeah, already, 40% coming out just from a quick exchange here. Dash Attack going to find an opening, and then we're going to see this neutral start to come out. We're going to have to see if we can hold this ledge. I think it is the right move to give Belmont that space on the ledge if that, he has already gotten up. You say, all right, let's reset to neutral. I'll give you the corner. You can have it as long as I can have center stage. I'm perfectly okay with this trade. Cozy Wrath also okay with that trade, right? It lets you start throwing out those special moves again. And listen, if your B button is not mashed in on the Belmonts, you are doing something wrong.
Able to snap back to the ledge. 109 to 61% here. Cozy Wrath knows they're starting to run out of time to make a play, and they will fade too low and get caught by the neutral B, and they don't have the ability to recover. Not anymore. Semi-RS will close out the series with a W for William and Mary.
I gotta say, I've never seen that move get a kill screen, but we certainly saw it here tonight. Neutral B, like you mentioned, going to be just enough to delay the recovery, not going to kill outright, but a character like Belmont does not have a lot of options to get back to stage, so will be enough to keep them off the side here. Yeah, this was just honestly a really, really good turnaround from Cozy Wrath there, just being patient and playing your own game, whether it's hubris or whether you're just, bored, quite frankly. You have to keep your head in the game, and Semi able to kind of put themselves back in the position towards the end of that game. But, about halfway through, it kind of felt like we lost the tempo there and just started kind of running at the Belmont, and it was just not working out for them.
Yep, and but Semi still able to clutch up at the end there and get that stock. Like you said, not in the most conventional of ways, but they will get the job done. Cozy Wrath, a valiant effort, but unable to win that set, which means our final score here through 5 is going to be William and Mary 20, Yukon 9. So William and Mary still staying within striking distance of the top. 5-2 now on the regular season. Yukon still searching for their first win here, but again, yet another week where they felt like they could have gotten some back. Just not enough going or tipping in their favor in this series, but a lot better of a showing from the last time they played William and Mary.
Absolutely, and we are actually not going to have an interview today from William and Mary. Again, hey, maybe I was spitting. Maybe it's getting close to bedtime. They got 8 a.m. in the morning. I don't know. It's only Tuesday. You got a lot of school left for the week, but either way, we are not done with Smash at all tonight. We have one more match coming for you, and honestly, this is the one I've been the most personally excited about. We have Hawaii versus UT Arlington coming up in just about 20 minutes, so stick around. You're not going to want to miss that one. See you after the break.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the EGFC. We are down to our final match of the night, and this one should be a great one. 2 undefeated teams in the EGFC going head to head here in week 7. The University of Hawaii and the University of Texas Arlington Mavericks. Cap, I feel like this one is going to be the match of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it before. This is the one I'm excited for. Honestly, I still don't even think of Hawaii as that top echelon team, despite the fact that we've seen, more than seen, the performance to back up that claim. I just always have in my head, Hawaii from last year who, while still a fantastic contender, wasn't, top of, cream of the crop, but we're just going to have to see if they can keep on to their, win streak here as we go, and we've got Darth Wampa on the Young Link for Hawaii versus the Davy Min coming out from UT Arlington.
Yeah, Davy going yet another character, another new one added to his list. I think I've said this before, but Davy has played a whole smorgasbord of characters over their time at EGFC, and yet another one tacked on here. Darth Wampa, we've seen the Young Link on a rare occasion. They usually just go with Neutral Link, Breath of the Wild Link, however you want to state it, but the Young Link out here, and so far, Darth Wampa is in the lead and racking up some good damage here, 122, but they do get hit away for the moment. Looking for a way to take the stock, though. Ooh, love that single hit back air into forward tilt, but from center stage, won't be able to find the kill quite yet.
And, we were discussing this a little bit before we went live here. There's definitely a very realistic chance that you are picking Min because you are playing in, or Connection, because, again, it is Hawaii, right? They are very, very far away from the continental United States, especially the East Coast. But, you gotta remember, there's more to this Hawaii squad than just their connection. There's a lot of talent on this roster. Darth Wampa kind of showing us, keeping a very commanding lead of the neutral, might end up actually, okay, we trade Smash Attack, that's a little connection thing, I've got to imagine. We're seeing Young Link struggle to kill here, but, forward throw will do it, any stray aerial will do it, but no, actually Davy is going to find the, Megawatt? I haven't thought about Min in so long. People stopped playing her ever since she got nerfed, but, we're still seeing her out here today, still putting up numbers and still taking stocks.
Nair on the platform will, answer back for Darth Wampa, so one stock apiece gone by. But it is interesting the way things can kind of pace out in this matchup. Darth Wampa seems like they've got the early advantage, at least through stock number 1, and then all of a sudden Davy survives in the red and is able to battle their way back, take that stock back, and Darth Wampa, they do get a stray hit late. Good combo here by Darth Wampa. They aren't able to intercept that recovery. Not able to do too much outside of that, keeping them to the corner. And it feels like this is how this match is kind of going to pace out. Darth Wampa getting a good amount of mileage early, but how do they secure stocks being a big question, because Davy has shown they've got that survivability. They're a very smart player, and even though a lot of these hits are connecting, nothing too damaging is actually landing.
Yeah, talk about damaging there. Megawatt neutral air not going to be enough. High recovery from Darth Wampa, actually really smart there to sniff out the drop down neutral air, but not quite going to be enough. That up smash will be enough off the top of the stage here. 117 on this Young Link. No rage on the Min as well, but still certainly in kill percent to a myriad of options, but you have to find them first and find them. Davy will. Up smash coming out to secure Darth Wampa's second stock, and we are down to an even game, one stock apiece here, Soy.
Barely catching some slight over-aggression there from Darth Wampa. But now, Davy's got this Young Link off stage. Only for a moment, though. Boomerang in. It's intercepted for a moment. Good combo starting up, but knocked away once more. Still a pretty even game, but the way these percents are trending, I do favor Davy here with that kill power that we've seen from this kit. But maybe Darth Wampa can get something going here. They've got Min to the outside of the stage. Love the tether cancels on their way back in. Davy showing some expertise on the movement of this character. Still trying to find a way to secure the stock. 79% right now on this Min, trying to cover. Where will Darth Wampa go? The boomerang just barely clips underneath, and that's a very good grab here, but things are still dangerous around this ledge.
Ooh, that up smash, even on the back hit there, still going to do the trick here. I gotta say, I think we both kind of expected this to be, I'm gonna play Min because we're on Wi-Fi, but no, I think this is a practiced character from Davy here. I will say from personal experience, Min can be very, very jarring to play. She is one of the few characters in the cast that kind of has her entirely unique play style, so to see it, played with this degree of proficiency, not necessarily doing anything extra special, but just being able to move around, right, and being very comfortable with how the character operates is still Very impressive from Davey, and definitely convincing me that this is not just a one-off pick here.
That expertise, I mean, you don't do some of the things that Davey does with Min Min unless you've spent some time in the lab with this character. And so Davey, I mean, master of many. I was just looking through to see how many different characters they've played over their time in EGFC. So they've gone through Pokemon Trainer, Luigi, Pyramithra, Steve, Dark Pit, and Min Min. So that makes 6 so far in his EGFC career. And again, Davey is one of the... this is essentially a battle of captains, or at least tested veterans of the EGFC, because Darth Wampa has been around, I believe, since Hawaii has joined the EGFC. And on this young Link, I mean, keeping things close, keeping things within striking distance, but again, that kill power of Min Min, just barely catching any slight overstep, just shows how smart Davey is playing this matchup.
Absolutely. Looks like Pokemon Stadium 2 is going to be the pick again here. Not terribly surprised, but also we did see, a lot of good bans, Yoshi's Battlefield and Small Battlefield coming out from David here. Very aware of kind of what Young Link wants. Yoshi's actually a really smart ban. That probably would have been the go-to for Darth Wampa 2 had it not been banned out. But good old-fashioned PS2 going to start our second game of the set here. Again, kind of keeping at the same pace here. We're going to have to see if David can do the same thing and kind of keep the pressure on.
Run it back and see if Darth Wampa can make the adjustments. We've talked about it. I mean, Davey, an experienced player, but University of Hawaii, a team that has a lot of eyes on them, not only from a coaching staff, but just from number of players who can potentially step into the ring. So Darth Wampa's got the advice. Can he execute upon it? 109 right now on his opening stock. Chipping away at the Min Min. Lots of up smashes from Davey this time around, and that's one way that Min Min can deal with the encroaching projectiles that Young Link brings to the table. You're seeing it as a reflector and also as a potential kill option too. If Darth Wampa just finds a shield with an aerial, you can also catch jumps with that up smash, and just like that, Darth Wampa drops the opening stock. 79% on Davey, so it's going to take some time in theory to take the stock unless they can catch this tether recovery. Great tether cancel, and they're able to weave around that bomb.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're just not used to operating around the space that, this Min Min up smash occupies. I mean, it's massive. For a character that is, very, humanoid in shape, no weird, not weirdly tall, not weirdly wide in any way, just a very normal kind of human-sized hitbox, that up smash goes incredibly high. For a move that isn't even using the gimmick of the character, the arms here, the kick is still enough, it's covering those platforms, that full hop jump height, it's still catching this Young Link, and it just feels like Darth Wampa has not found the answer to that particular move yet. Neutral are going to do the trick here, but still 94% on the second stock here. Just a couple of hits away from losing it.
Gotta be very careful here if you're Darth Wampa. Long charge on that up smash. Bomb into dash attack. Decent chip damage. Oh, but they whiff a grab. Could be an opening. Dancing around shields for now. The up B from Darth Wampa might show a little bit of panic here, that they know that the percents are trending against them, and they know if they get a combo starter, all of a sudden, hey, percents are back to even just like now. But at the end of the day, these stray hit scenarios do favor the Min Min, and they will find another up smash on the platform. Darth Wampa lingering just a second too long.
Yeah, still 104 on Davey here. Like we've mentioned a couple times, it can be hard for Young Link to find these kills, especially at this exact percent range. You pretty much have to be hitting confirms because none of their moves are going to raw kill. Down tilt, up air will do the trick, but also 151 after hit. We did get a little bit more percent on the board before going for anything, too flashy, too fancy. You're just absolutely making sure that it's going to kill.
I'm still getting the sense, though, that Darth Wampa is playing a little antsy, that he's searching for these hits. I mean, even in that sequence on the platform where he's able to take that stock via down tilt up air, he went for down tilt, I think, at least twice before to try and secure that stock. Now the shield extra low. Boomerang will get reflected back, has to roll in. Because of that low shield, he has to eat some more damage here. 93%. Shield should be ready, though, for this next one. Holds it for a moment. Arrow's in, but tried to jump arrow, tried to call a jump out of disadvantage, unable to do so. Poked away at once again. Low recovery, great tether there by Darth Wampa to weave around the arm. That's going to be another arrow. Davey starting to get chipped away at here. Shield, dangerous here. Another forward air landed. 94%, forced to jump, and there he tries to approach and is stuffed out once more. And with that, Davey will take the opening set.
Yeah, I think there's this common misconception, and I will absolutely admit that I'm guilty of this too in a lot of, close situations here, that you have to rush down the min-min. That is just not the case. You have the space to play around, however her game plan is going to be going. She's not going to be, putting out every hitbox all the time. You have a little bit of wiggle room in between those arms to just kind of play your own neutral game. You don't have to feel like you have to be on top of her all the time, which is especially something that Young Link is not particularly good at. So very good on Davey for recognizing Darth Wampa getting, like you mentioned, just a little bit antsy here and just firing off those up smashes to just absolutely, deal with those approaches.
That up smash is surprisingly tall, I guess. And maybe it's just me not seeing a ton of Min Min. I mean, the last time we saw Min Min in the EGFC, you'd have to go back to, Sleepy plays it for Hawaii, but in terms of frequency of use, you'd have to go back to the days of DePaul being here. And so it's just not something that you see all that often, but that up smash, just such a tall hitbox. And then here, again, Darth Wampa just trying to find something, goes for that up air and is stuffed out by that neutral air. So much damage, all that rage built up as well. And let's see how close it really is. Oh no, it's forward air that he's going for instead. I thought he was going for up air, but no. Instead opted for the forward air and gets beat out by Megawatt neutral air. And just like that, it's a 4-0 lead for UTA off of set number 1.
Yeah, about as close as you can get, though. Well, actually, exactly as close as you can get, without dropping a game here. Still, very, very good stuff coming out from Hawaii to kind of minimize the damage, stem the bleeding a little bit before it gets too bad and too out of hand. 4 points is nothing. It's 2 one-stock victories like we just saw, and that's absolutely something that Hawaii can pull out of the bag next. But for UTA, we do already have the confirmation of the player, as again, they do have to pick first as they won the last round. And it looks like we are going to have Kyle coming out for UT Arlington.
Yeah, Kyle is going to be stepping into the ring on the Crom, Snake, or Roy is what we've seen from them in the past. The Crom, I believe, is the most practiced, but we'll have to see who they play up against. Hawaii get the chance to counterpick, and the roster this week, I think, for Hawaii is going to be interesting to watch because, as we heard from them last week, they sent players to Port Priority 8, the major that just happened over the weekend. So a lot of those players, maybe there's some jet lag because they had to fly back for this match here. So not Darth Wampa not making that trip, but a lot of players for Hawaii that potentially could be off the board just because of the distance that event, that they had to cover. Now, it was a great experience for those players, I'm sure, but it means that maybe the lineup gets pinched a little bit this week, and we'll have to see if the players are ready on what Hawaii decides to go with to try and counter Kyle here in match number 2.
Well, we are not going to see any lineup, squeezing here. We do have Thermalax coming out, one of those players, like you mentioned, that went to Port Priority 8, coming out for Hawaii here. I imagine we're not going to see the Crom just because of the matchup here. I mean, noticeably, when you're mentioning those rosters of characters, we say that Crom obviously is, maybe the most practiced, but also notably, I think pretty unarguably the worst out of all of those characters if you look at them on a tier list. So you can kind of see why we're seeing some of these other characters get picked, and it looks like we even confirmed that he's going Snake as well, actually. So yeah, I mean, I'm not at all surprised to hear that. Snake into the, presumably the DDD here, is, it's one of those weird matchups where it's going to be, does this top tier lose to this low tier kind of thing? Because that absolutely does happen. There are random characters and random matchups where you just get a little bit of an edge here. And I think, honestly, this might be one of those, despite the fact that, Snake, obviously a very good zoner, and can definitely has plenty of tools to deal with the Gordos as well. You got to imagine that DDD is not going to play into a lot of the tricks, pulling the grenades on frame 1 to break the combos, playing that neutral game to make approaching just absolutely miserable. DDD's not going to approach you. He's not going to combo you. I got to imagine that this is going to be a little bit of a mix-up of pace for our Snake player here, Kyle.
And on the flip side too, if we do see the Snake here from Kyle, like you mentioned, DD does not play to the way that Snake likes to control the game, and thus the emphasis becomes on Kyle to make your openings count. Get the damage online in the few windows that you have it, which in theory you could get a lot off of King DD. It is a big body that you have the ability to combo, and Snake has options for a lot of those instances. They have a good combo game under their belt, but how frequently do they get those windows? How frequently do they create those opportunities is what I'm looking for in this set, and we'll have to see how that pans out here as we're going through picks and bans in terms of stages right now. I'd imagine that we're probably just gonna rock PS2 here off the start. Just been the typical starter stage for a lot of these sets, and both players are very comfortable on it. But like you mentioned, with this type of matchup, I wouldn't be shocked to see a wild card pick here come through in game number 1.
Yeah, it looks like in wild card pick we're going to see Final Destination going to be the stage of choice. I will say, I think I'm fairly good friends with a very talented DDD player out of Philly by the name of Bunkus, and I will say I think he's kind of shown me the light of the fact that this reflector is definitely a bait in a lot of the matchups. It is just not worth the time, honestly, to even try reflecting a lot of these projectiles. So I like that Thermalax kind of giving up on it pretty quickly, only using it at those long ranges. But again, like I mentioned, I think DDD is going to be a very big mix-up here on the pacing that Snake likes to play at. We're already seeing it 144 on Snake here. And then neutral air, not a move you generally see kill, but at high enough percents, it will do the trick. Only 73% on Thermalax on a big body like DDD. I think you're feeling pretty good about this so far.
50 seconds in, that's how long it took for Thermalax to take that stock. We're into over a minute into the action now. Kyle, unscathed on the second stock, knows that this is potentially a very difficult matchup for them, but they get grabbed here, and maybe a combo from Thermalax. Not too much earned, 21% here. But I do like what you're saying, right? That reflector is mostly just bait. It's just not really worth the commit for Thermalax, and they're able still to weave around it. Kyle still has to respect it in case it does land, in case that grenade does get caught. And right now, Thermalax controlling the stage pretty well, not letting Kyle, set up the minefield, throw the grenades very frequently. Even the side B, that missile, of little use here. Forward Tilt will manage to take the stock here as another minute goes by, but a 73% lead in this matchup feels fairly significant for Thermalax.
Yeah, especially on a character like Snake, where half of their damage is going to be coming from trades anyways. And I mean, like I mentioned before, we kind of saw it come out. We saw the grenade pull, right? It was a down throw into the neutral air. We saw the grenade pull to kind of stem future aggression, and Thermalax just walked away. Not because, necessarily they were recognizing that the grenade pull was coming, but that's the end of the combo stream for DDD. You got your 2-hit in, you walk away, you throw your Gordos. I mean, we've just really got to start adapting better to this pace here, or we've got to start abusing the weaknesses of DDD more off this ledge here. Thermalax is struggling to find their way back in. Very smart inhale on their own Gordo, but the C4 stick into the back throw will do the trick. Kyle now just has to maintain this lead.
So clean, so smart by Kyle in that sequence. Grenade interrupting that neutral B. Gordo, though, will connect, and just like that, we're back to a tied game. So despite that early lead that Thermalax built up for themselves, it comes down to this, and this is going to be tough for both sides. Thermalax really struggling to get out of the corner, but Kyle right now up against it when it comes to scrapping with that hammer and dealing with the Gordo. Like you said, the combo string is not all that extensive, but DDD could struggle landing here. They will be able to get out of it for the moment. Ooh, that's a low recovery here from Kyle, one that Thermalax will not be able to punish. C4 planted, but now the missile lingering off stage, able to upbeat back to the ledge. How does he get out? He gets out with a grab instead, but there's just too many explosives intercepting any follow through from Thermalax. He can't approach. The C4 still lingering on the stage for that moment. Now back air, only finds shield, grenade intercepting. Once more, that Gordo and Thermalax holding center stage best they can, but the next strong hit should do the trick, and it will be Kyle to find it, roll behind, up tilt, and game one goes to UTA.
Talk about strong hit. That is the strongest hit in Snake's arsenal besides some of the smash attacks. Fantastic stuff. I really did like how Kyle kind of adapted halfway through the match there. We saw a lot of those up smashes initially at the ledge, right? Just, you know, the little artillery missile over and over again. And it just wasn't doing the trick, quite frankly. But, you know, we start to, you know, just adjust halfway through instead of just throwing out those up smashes. I like seeing those grenade pulls coming out as we recognize, hey, Thermalax is getting off the ledge and they are back throwing me every single time. But, you know, getting just even a single pummel when you throw the grenade out does make it so that those grenades are going to pop. So really, really smart from Kyle to kind of recognize that and punish this habit that Thermalax had been building up throughout the entirety of the match.
And Thermalax kept it very close there at the end. Just felt like they were a second slow to the play. They realized, hey, that grenade just got planted, and all of a sudden the roll behind comes through, and that's when Thermalax goes for a grab, is after that roll has already happened, which puts you in a trump card scenario. You either move forward into the grenade or you get hit by the up tilt, and either way, Kyle, after a deficit early, was able to battle back and take game one here. Can Thermalax extend this series and get Hawaii on the board, or will UTA continue to lock them out here? So far, through the first roughly 30 seconds, it is the percent trending in Kyle's favor. We've seen Thermalax mount these comebacks before and get good damage on the board, but they're going to have to work a little bit harder this time around. 84%, C4 at center stage, used now. Kyle at 38, make that 52 off the neutral B. Another low recovery, and this one's challenged, but Kyle's got the techs.
Really good tech there, ready for that back air. I mean, when you're walking off the stage as DDD there, I can't really imagine what else you would be going for, so really smart of Kyle to recognize that and be ready to tech it. But this does also mean that the percents that were in favor of Kyle here suddenly, no longer the case. We've gotten enough damage off that, these big, heavy hits are just doing enough to keep the Thermalax in the game, despite the fact that it feels like they hadn't really started winning neutral until like 20 seconds ago. But it doesn't matter when you are that heavy. Good on Kyle to mix up the high recovery here. Snake, a character that has a lot of B-reverses in the kit, has a lot of room to operate with, but still really, really good stuff coming out from Thermalax here, able to get off this ledge basically scot-free. It just feels like Kyle just isn't respecting this Gordo as much as they should be.
The neutral B is getting a lot of use, and like you said, not respecting the Gordo, but now stuck along the ledge. How does he get it back? He cannot get through that up smash, covering so much. That lingering hitbox of the Gordo, normally acting as a trump card for Thermalax, but they're intercepting, and well done. The plant was everything up against the wall to set up for that forward air kill.
really, really smart of Thermalex to capitalize off of that. Not even really a true combo, but just able to follow up and kind of check the options at the door before they were able to come into the stage there. I mean, again, just another even game all the way through here. Both of these characters just trying to zone each other out. But again, this is, I think, a weird matchup for Snake where they have to just shift the playstyle a little bit. And Thermalex, you know, a character like DDD is very, very used to shifting around the playstyle, right? This is a character that has to make a lot of concessions in a lot of matchups, but Snake, I think, is just not one of them. DDD gets to largely do their own game plan while playing, and I think it's definitely showing.
Right now, and Kyle executing that game plan. Just barely holding a lead, though. Like you said, just so back and forth, and this won't be the stock. Vortil, unable to kill, has to use that neutral B, should be able to make it back. They roll in, but they get the grab as well. That's huge for Thermalex to be able to survive here. Won't be able to find the up air. Lots of projectiles landing. Hit the grenade and got knocked away. Gordo, I love the pace mix up there from Thermalex. Inhaling it so late, but still unable to find the stock. One strong hit from either side could do it for the second stock, and neither one wants to drop it. Down tilt from Kyle, snuck underneath. I believe that was neutral air. Love the idea from Thermalex. They inhale the grenade. They don't take too much damage from it. They get the knockaway with the hammer instead of the Gordo, so Kyle gets to survive. And Cypher knocks back the Gordo, and that's how stock number 2 goes down. And it's quickly entered back. Jump read, back air, tie game.
Thermalex was having none of that. I mean, Cypher reflecting Gordo, that move sucks. But listen, that back air is going to do the trick here as we see, again, the exact same story as we've been watching the entire game, actually rolling through the inhale there. Really smart from Kyle to kind of recognize that they could even do that. Also, we're seeing a lot of these tech roll-ins. I like the idea here, kind of mix up the spacing game, a character that generally wants to roll out and play it safe. You're kind of just putting yourself at risk, which is working out for you a lot. I think Kyle absolutely in a commanding position right now, but Thermalex still playing incredibly well, even with the pressure on.
Oh my goodness, that was a big swing by Thermalex. If that connected, that could have been the stock. They've got the percent lead, but we're back into the red here. Gotta be careful. Down smash clanks with a grenade. Back air won't kill from Kyle. Thermalex low recovery. How does he get off this ledge? Gordo gets knocked away. He tried to fight through it with the up B. I love the mix-up Gordo used again. It actually knocks him back up. Thermalex, does he have enough? Yes, he will be able to snap back to the ledge. How does he land here? Missile covering. Up smash doesn't find its mark. 156 to 119. Forward tilt will knock Snake off stage once more. Gordo won't be able to connect. Gets a grab here on the turnaround. Forward throw yet again. Gordo planted now. Can't go back to the ledge. Has to go back towards the stage. Air dodge. Knocks him back. 162. One strong hit. Is this enough off the grab? Forward throw. And it will. We've got a game 3 between Kyle and Thermalex.
And more importantly, we have a point on the board for Hawaii here. 5-1. Going to be our point total after this game 2. Fantastic stuff from Thermalex in a game where it feels like Kyle was starting to really understand kind of, the ins and outs of the DDD game plan, and it felt like Thermalex just kind of went back to square one again. Like I mentioned during that game, it felt like Kyle was just not respecting those Gordos anymore. And they're like, hey, I figured out the trick. You just hit them, they go away, they're fine. But when you're mixing up your timings with the inhales, when you're mixing up the angles here, when you're even throwing them at projectiles, honestly, that ended up working out pretty well for Thermalex in almost every scenario except exactly that one right there where he threw it into the Cypher. Just really mixing up where the Gordo is going to be at almost all times, keeping Kyle on their toes, forcing them to really adapt on the fly even more than they already were. Just fantastic stuff coming out from Thermalex.
Took up to 170 to take that stock for Thermalex. That's how close and how much work Thermalex has to put in to take those stocks. And on the other hand, too, Kyle got Thermalex up to 156, and he could not find a window. I also have to commend Thermalex for his play around the ledge. I mean, we saw in game number 1 that that was where Kyle had his advantage. Once this big penguin was on the ledge, where does he go? Those up smashes cover the jump, they cover the Gordo usage, the grenade's already been planted, there's nowhere for him to run to, and he can't hang on the ledge forever. But that game, especially late in stocks 2 and 3, Thermalax was, like you said, able to mix up some of the timings, approach in different ways, and their ability to get out of the corner, buying themselves extra time on those stocks, I think very commendable, and certainly helped them get that extra point on the board here in game number 2. But we're getting ready for game number 3 here between these two, and honestly, the fact that it's been back-to-back 1 stocks tells you this feels like just a coin flip of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. This could go either way here. I like to call them at the beginning of the match and kind of see how my predictions go, halfway through or, all the way through, kind of see if I was right, if I was wrong, kind of where I stand on the matchup that I'm watching. And I feel like I was not at all prepared for how unpredictable this matchup would be, quite frankly. And it sounds dumb to be like, yeah, I didn't know it was going to happen. But I truly didn't. I mean, I really don't know how to emphasize enough that Snake DDD is just such an incredibly awkward matchup for Snake. And the fact that Thermalax is switching up the game plans on the fly, starting, we saw some more, some even heavier spacing. I feel like Thermalax was maybe trying to just, get in, disrupt the Snake, which is what a lot of people do. They try to get in and disrupt kind of the grenade and the minefield that people have to deal with, but very content to just sit across the stage, throw the Gordos, and then get the grabs in when you see the chance. Slowing down the pace actually threw Kyle off, I think, a lot more than they were expecting to be thrown off, and it's leading us to a game 3 here.
The grabs seem vital to Thermalax's success as we go to Smashville for game number 3. But also, like you said, just, in terms of the not knowing how this is going to play out, it's 2 play styles that we aren't really accustomed to for these 2 players. I mean, Kyle tends to play a bit faster paced on the Roy, on the Crom, and Thermalax certainly not opposed to scrapping, to going for a bit more up close of a game style. We saw that in game number 1 of this series. But here on Smashville, a smaller stage, a lot more interactions, and Kyle is the benefactor right now as they are going to take this first stock with the grab into forward tilt.
Yeah, absolutely there. I mean, that short blast zones on the side going to be coming in handy there. And I think it's interesting to note that, talking about the last game, we were saying, we saw Thermalax do a lot more zoning than I think Kyle was ready for. And sure enough, in this game 3, we are on a smaller stage where DDD, doesn't have the room to move around as much. And surprisingly, I'm not entirely certain what stages are, incredibly beneficial for Snake, but I wouldn't have guessed that it was Smashville. But again, adapting more to the playstyle in front of him and not just to the character. Really smart stuff coming out from Kyle to kind of recognize that and pick the stage accordingly. It does feel like Thermalax is struggling, right? They found that success in that, mid-range style that DDD is more known for, instead of trying to really switch it up to account for the Snake. And now that we've kind of removed that option, it feels like Kyle is just kind of back in the lead, back in control of the set.
Going forward tilt here. This is where things can get dangerous. Low recovery. Oh, but he's stuck underneath. An up smash will kill. A trade of stocks and a massive one. This is the biggest lead we've seen in this series here. Kyle up a full stock. And again, I think back to the end of game number 2 where Thermalax, it took to get Kyle up to 170 before he was able to get that stock off the board. Thermalax has such a long road ahead of him, and he might be running out of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 53%, your life is on a clock right now. Again, like we've mentioned several times throughout this series, a lot of Snake's damage comes from trades, which is why it really benefits that character to be ahead. Also really smart, actually. I'm starting to think Kyle's doing this on purpose, where we're pulling the grenade away from the DDD and then letting him inhale it so that it explodes in his mouth. It gives Kyle a very, very big punish window. It's happened enough that I've got to imagine we're doing it on purpose again, and it's just super smart, trying to get the roll read there not going for the guaranteed forward tilt. We were facing the wrong way for it, but still really good idea. And we are also now at the percent where down throw into up tilt is a true combo, and we're going to see it there. Roll behind, down throw, up tilt, good night. Only 60% on Kyle with a commanding game 3 and a pretty commanding way to end the set, all things considered, you know, when you look at the past 2 games that we just watched.
A game of minute adaptations, but one that UTA are coming out on top of. Kyle with a huge game 3 in a series that has been 1 stock apiece through the rest of the games. Kyle with a 2-stock victory here over Thermalax extends the Mavericks lead, and that is a backbreaker of a stock, it feels like you said. That simple lie down into up tilt, just the fact that it is a true combo means that stock is over the second that grab comes through, and all of a sudden it's a 7-point lead through 2 sets for UTA. And again, a massive game here. These are the top teams in the EGF today, as Hawaii undefeated entering this week, same with UTA. But Thermalax, great adaptations to get Hawaii on the board, but I think you're absolutely right, and I was going to call it out too if you did not. The fact that just walk up with the grenade in hand means that Kyle can kind of get a free punish because of the way that inhale works was so smartly recognized by Kyle, whether that be him or the coach in the ear of the player. It was what really, I think, made the difference in that set.
Absolutely, we saw it come out numerous times. Throughout that last game, I'm very much of the opinion that it was the decider. We could have definitely seen that come closer. The stage pick also had a very, very big impact on how that game went, but how dominant we saw that lead, in that game go, I think was almost entirely attributed to the fact that we're starting to abuse some of those DDD mechanics, which is, it's a little tier. That's part of the thing with some of these characters, right? Is that a lot of them have certain gimmicks or issues that are just really, really hard to overcome. And again, like I mentioned, game 1, all the way back to the beginning of the set, that inhale, that reflector is a bait. It is not a great move, and I think just relying on it a little too heavily means that Kyle gets to walk away with that win. But going into the next game, we do have Peach Fuzz coming out for UT Arlington. I'm seeing Rob on our score sheet here. So if you have any extra insight on that, love to hear it. But as far as I know, Rob is going to be the character here. But we've already seen some weird characters come out tonight, so wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a mix-up, just to keep us on our toes. It's not fun if we're not really working for it.
You're absolutely right. We've only seen Peach Fuzz once this season thus far, and it was on the Rob, and I believe they're just a newer player to UTA, and they've already looked pretty good getting that first victory under their belt. I do also have to commend Kyle for not only closing out that set, but they're having a spectacular rookie season right now. They're 5-0, and a lot of those wins have been massive point differentials. They just do not let their foot off the gas, and the fact that they shut down Thermalax, who was another undefeated player entering this week, it speaks volumes to the depth of talent that UTA have, and Peach Fuzz adding to that depth on this Rob. A pretty well-versed character, pretty well-rounded, can play to a couple different styles, can play more passive when needed to, but it can also scrap up close when the time calls. And Hawaii, they're going to have their hands full with this counter pick.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and this is the counter pick. We do have Small Left coming out for Hawaii. Listen, this is if you're going to put a power player into a slot, that third slot is definitely the one to put them into. You're either opening, closing, or going third. And I think third is arguably the most important slot, especially in this format, because you got to remember, a traditional crew battle, you want your openers and closers to be very, very strong, but because of the way the match structure works, it's less about, raw stock count and more about kind of momentum as you go through the sets here, because, you're going to be playing them all out regardless. So it's not like oh, I'm just going to cheese a stock here and eliminate a player. You have to get through all of these names, and having this win streak continue is definitely something that Hawaii cannot allow to happen. So I absolutely agree with the decision to send out Small Left here.
Small Left, I mean, we've talked about him a lot in terms of Hawaii. This is his first year of collegiate eligibility, but he's been number one on Hawaii's PR for a while, is what we've heard, and he has lived up to the expectations. 4-0 this season thus far. In the first 2 wins he played, he was averaging 7 points. He was barely dropping a stock in those matches. And on Pyramithra and Pokemon Trainer that we saw, I believe, last week against Marquette. So an explosive character, and I feel like if there is a way for Hawaii to kind of tilt things back in their favor, not only stop the momentum, but get some big points back, I think of how early Pyra can get kills and how big of a body Rob is.
Absolutely. I think, Rob has the best of both worlds. Fantastic zoner, fantastic combo character, very, very good up-close game. And I think, especially things coming out like that forward air and that down tilt, those quick, snappy moves that aren't necessarily going to be doing a whole ton on their own, but are going to put a very big check along with the gyro, on this movement of Mythra throughout the stage. But again, like you mentioned, Mythra and Pyra going to have a very easy time hitting that Rob, and with how powerful a lot of these Pyra hitboxes are, I would not be surprised to see some early stocks come out a lot earlier than we are seeing Robs go down. So it really is going to have to be, how good is Small Left's awareness of the space that they are allowed to operate within.
And that is a big question as they're going through picks and bans at the moment. Looks like PS2 is likely the pick here. And it seems like that's, the general consensus as to the starter stage. So not surprised to see that selected in and locked in here for game number 1. But a turning point in the set once again. Peach Fuzz on the Rob. Can they shut down one of the top players from Hawaii this season, the rookie Small Left, into the ring, and right now getting comboed. 48% forced to recover low because of that down air, but they will try and get their own combo going. We're going to see, especially at the low percents, a lot of Mythra, and I feel like there is just that tiny bit of speed advantage for Small Left when Mythra's on the field.
Oh, most assuredly. It's basically going to be a game of can the Rob keep out the Mythra well enough, right? I think there's no doubt in my mind that he cannot. There's not a character in this game, I think, that can keep out the Mythra. But can you do it well enough that you're getting, enough damage in stocks in? And so far, the answer is no. Only 66% on Small Left here before we find the first stock with what I believe was a dash attack off the left side of the stage.
Great catch there by Small Left on the Pyra. So one stock down. They've started off that stock at 66. They've eaten 30%, and now they're up to 124. Get up attack will allow them to get out of the corner, though. Peach Fuzz looking for an opportunity. Oh, great weave around by Small Left to dodge both projectiles and get some chip damage with that neutral air, but not able to get too much off the follow-up. Stuffed out on the jump, using the gyro against Peach Fuzz to battle their way out of the corner. Switch to Pyra now. Looking to try and two-frame, won't be able to do so. Falling up air, won't be able to take the stock quite yet. Lingering hitboxes, unable to get the job done. The Blazing Edge will connect through, but still holding on to the stock is Peach Fuzz. Great movement here by Small Left to threaten a couple different options, but look at the parry come through. Ready for the neutral air was Small Left. He's still looking for a way to contest, still looking for a way to take the stock. Tries to bait out something with the switch, but instead, 2 moves will trade, and as things start to trend towards the red, you can see how careful both players are playing.
Absolutely not a favorable trade for Peach Fuzz. I'm actually kind of surprised that didn't kill, but Pyra a little heavier than the Mythra here, and yeah, that weak hit neutral air will do the trick on the Mythra. 0-0, but a full stock in favor of the small left. Peach Fuzz just trying to keep it competitive right now, but I imagine we're looking at game 2 already, as you know, we're seeing this just advantage loop start. Oh, but we're looking for the gyro combos. Not quite going to find any that time, but you know, good to keep in mind that we do always have those big equalizers for Rob.
That was such a key moment for Smolleff to get out of that combo, because if that combo starts up, that's so much damage. And it's not like Pyra and Mithra are heavy characters that are meant to survive up to those higher percents like Rob can do. So Smolleff getting out of that potentially big, but this is going to be almost the stock off of that up B. 129, Peach Fuzz surviving. Can they battle back here again and cut down into this lead? 54% on a Smolleff. Down tilt, knockdown, don't find a neutral air, don't find the forward smash either. So much shield damage being dealt, but they will be able to hold on that forward tilt. Back airing, forced to recover low once again. Tried to go for the jabs, but they only find shield. That's an up air poking through. Smolleff looking to recover. Throwing out a couple aerials here, looking for any opportunity that Peach Fuzz gives them to overextend, but it's going to be run up smash that does them in. Mithra will kill, and that's game 1 going to Smolleff.
You know, all things considered, we've talked about, you know, already today, that Smolleff does tend to have these pretty dominant sets, so I think all things considered, we can say that Peach Fuzz kept that relatively close, you know, kept it competitive. I think, you know, the thing that tends to happen with a lot of these neutral-based high tiers, or top tiers, I suppose, you know, that once that advantage train starts going, it kind of just doesn't stop, because you retain, you know, even in neutral, you just retain kind of an air of like, oh, I can approach whenever I want to, and I set the pace of the match. And you know, despite the fact that Peach Fuzz kept it very, very close in the beginning, it just kind of got away from them as Smolleff just kind of took off throughout the rest of that game and was able to take it away with a 2-stock. But I could absolutely see Peach Fuzz taking, you know, 2 stocks next game, or even the game itself, if we can just, you know, not let that kind of snowball of pace making just roll over you, because once you lose your ability to kind of set your own pace against Pyra and Mithra, it's over for you, right? You're just playing on the back foot against one of the fastest characters in the game, who has some of the best hitboxes. You don't even have to call out what people are doing. You can just react to it online, offline. You know, Pyra or Mithra, both of the characters have the ability to just do so much with so little, you know, information, that you really don't even need to just know what is happening. You just need to follow the person around the stage, and once you get to that point, just don't let it get to that point, honestly. That's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah, and on the flip side here, Peach Fuzz locked in as that third member means that, you know, Hawaii, they had that chance to counterpick, and we've seen Smolleff enter in spot number 3 numerous times, so Peach Fuzz, they knew they were going to be up against it in this third set. If they can take any points off the board, every single stock matters here against one of the anchors of the University of Hawaii. But Peach Fuzz, there were windows, there were opportunities for them to potentially be able to get more damage online and potentially stock off the back of it. But they have to work so hard in order to do so. Here on Small Battlefield 4 game number 2, Smolleff able to weave around a couple projectiles, but now they're getting stuffed out on their approach. The neutral air, a massive hitbox that Smolleff has to deal with. Gyro as well, covering the ground. And the platform coverage, too, from Peach Fuzz is very solid. This is a substantial lead built up for UTA. They can't get the up air, though. Smolleff is able to dodge around it. Now maybe a chance at a reversal. 2 aerials landed. Now the switch to Pyra does not find the down air. Mithra's back onto the field at 125, though. How long do they have?
Shades of game 1 here, except imagine if Peach Fuzz never lost the lead here. Big up smash coming out. Only 50% on Peach Fuzz. Again, like we mentioned before, this can absolutely snowball out of control very quickly, but still a very dominating place to be right now. And at this point, you know, I think the idea of, you know, Aegis snowballing you with advantage and kind of making you not able to set your own pace anymore is kind of out the window now. Playing on the back foot here has to be the one to approach, has to be the one to force these issues. And I mean, I'm sure that Peach Fuzz is not really eager to, as we see even there, just avoiding the jump over, recognizing that honestly Smolleff got a lot of up airs out of those jump over, situation. So just avoiding that airspace, just avoiding a lot of things that I feel like Small has been going for in the this match so far. Just saying, hey, how about I just don't put myself in this situation and we call it a day.
That corner situation, those jabs could have meant a lot to either side, but instead they just shield and they're able to get out of it. Peach Fuzz doing a fantastic job of surviving. 123 right now, but almost a cast occurs. Well, maybe they're not done yet. Look at the chase down the side B, able to catch Peach Fuzz rotating back, and that's going to be stock number 1 off the board here. But Smalleft is up to 107 right now on Mythra, looking for a combo starter. They know that if they're gonna have a chance here in this set, you feel like this second stock has to be made worth their while. Can they come up with something here? Low recovery from Peach Fuzz. I like the idea to go for that up B, but it's gonna get covered, and it's potentially the stock. Oh, Peach Fuzz went for back air instead. I think if he went for up smash, that was it, but maybe a chance on the up air. No, not quite yet. Smalleft still surviving at 143, looking for an opening still, but the gyro again lingering, cutting them off, nowhere to run to. They're able to get back to the ledge, fighting their way out of the corner. They're able to get some damage, but neutral air will nearly kill off the top.
I'd like to see these Robs kill a little bit earlier, but when you're controlling the pace of the neutral game so well, oh my goodness, even Tech rolling through that up smash there as well. This neutral air is incredibly sour right now. It is an incredibly weak hitbox. We've used it over and over again, but that does not mean that we should stop. If it is working, continue doing it. And despite the fact that, again, I would like to see Rob find these stocks sooner, here on Peach Fuzz, it feels like it is working out in their favor to just play the long game and not even necessarily fish for those kill moves and just keep playing the neutral until one of them kills, because quite frankly, eventually one of them will. If forward air is going to do the trick at about 200%, Peach Fuzz taking a beating that stock, but still maintaining the lead, which is the important part to note.
Still a lot of work to be done for Smalleft. Look at the combo game, all the way up to 32. Mythra out now, underneath the platform. How did they get in? Neutral air will do the trick. Switch to Pyra early here. Smalleft is looking for a lot of damage, but I think the switch is going to cost them. 68% now onto Smalleft. Up tilted once more. Another switch to Mythra. That was a great fast fall into the neutral air to help intercept that potential up smash. Gyro now moves forward, but there's another gentleman jab. Off stage goes Peach Fuzz. They'll be able to recover. Used all their gas in that recovery, or just about, but they're able to make it back. Extra time on this stock is vital. 150 now onto the Rob, but 109 on the Smalleft. Peach Fuzz, like you said, just slowing the game down, forcing Smalleft to them, and a runoff down B, or oh wow, it's going to be a reversal here instead. Smalleft unable to take the stock quite yet. Eventually side B will do the trick, but Smalleft has to play near perfect on this stock. He wants to take this game, and he won't be able to. The back air will shut him down, and game 2 goes to Peach Fuzz.
What a turnaround from game 1 to game 2. We talked about it. We talked about it extensively, how much Aegis can control the pace of the game, how much she's just a neutral monster, right, in a lot of these situations. In Peach Fuzz, I feel like took all of that and said, okay, I'm going to operate exactly in the space you don't want me to. That is, I think, the secret to beating this character. Aegis cannot, Aegis can cover a lot. That was also very, very, very cute conversion there. I mean, it feels like Aegis can cover everything, but she cannot. And I feel like we found those situations, where Smalleft just really couldn't get there or couldn't put out a hitbox in time. There are punishment hits. You just have to find them. And Peach Fuzz absolutely find them. Yeah, above 200%. I love Peach Fuzz's just insistence to continue playing their game, though, because again, like we mentioned before, it's very, very important that you keep your pace going when you're fighting against Aegis, and you're ready to just play your own playstyle, not just get swept up in how fast Aegis is moving. And Peach Fuzz, even though these stocks are going above 200%, just absolute confidence in their own game plan that it will see them through, and it does, and it brings us to a game 3.
I think that huge first stock there, the hit into the gyro, into the up smash, not only was it clean, but also they only were at 37%. That first stock, that massive lead they built up, really helped them towards the end there. And now it's a 10-3 scoreline. We're headed into game number 3 between these two players. And I feel like, again, Peach Fuzz just playing a little bit smarter. Like you said, not playing to the rapid pace that Mythra and Pyra can certainly drag you into. But I do think Small Left is starting to catch on to a couple things. He's starting to see these adaptations, as you could tell by the end of that set, they were looking for ways to close out stocks very early and nearly connecting on them with a couple of those big hitboxes. So I do worry here for Peach Fuzz, but I still think it is nail-bitingly close in anyone's game as we get ready for this conclusion to the third set.
If we are waiting for bans here to come out on the side of UT Arlington, looks like we're gonna no Battlefield, no Yoshi's, and no Town and City. I think very standard bans, for that character. Just Battlefield, you don't really get too much out of the triplats. Yoshi's, you don't want to give yourself, a reason to die earlier. In Town and City, I think just gives a little bit too much space to, the Rob there to just kind of do whatever he wants to do. So we do have DSR. All right, good to note. Actually, I wasn't sure about that myself. DSR, if you're not aware, means that you cannot go back to a stage that you have already won on, which does mean that we cannot go back to small battlefield here. So I don't want to make the call for them. I'm going to hold what I have in my head. But we'll have to see what the game plan is here for Peach Fuzz on this route.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what like you said, what the game plan is. I think it is interesting to see how Peach Fuzz, by slowing the pace of the game down, got so much more mileage. There's, whenever Rob is on stage, one of the things that takes a lot of agency is the gyro, right? Who's in control of it? Where is it positioned? And I think that was a part of the game that was a big focus in game number 2, because you could tell Small Left in game number 1 was kind of dancing around it, but they very quickly were able to deal with it, just in general, positionally in the right places, or able to catch it at times. But there in game number 2, I feel like it connected more frequently than not, just as a lingering hitbox on the ground, where Small Left would potentially want to try and dash through. So I think the use of the gyro, that is such a big part of the kit, rather than it being a combo tool, you're almost using it more like a snake grenade, as just alright, this area is now occupied. You cannot burst through with the speed of Mythra or Pyra to do anything. Now, Small Left was able to try and counter that with things like the side B of their own, that using the sword as a projectile on Mythra, on Pyra, as not only a way to take stocks, but just as a trump card of, all right, yeah, I'll trade projectiles. Mine will likely kill earlier than yours. But those type of situations are going to be few and far between. I mean, that side B in game number 2 killed at, 160, 170-ish, I think, when the hitboxes were all done. So it's interesting to see how they're kind of weaving around each other's projectiles, although, again, not a ton of projectiles for Peach Fuzz to weave around.
That's true, and you gotta imagine also a lot of those side Bs that are killing, even at that 160, 170, they're off the sides of the stage, right? They're actually already pretty close to the blast zone as is, so you see that center stage, I don't think you're quite as nervous to run into it, and you're like, okay, maybe I just eat this because it's better than dying, off of the up air that's following it. So I think really important to just kind of take the better of two evils in those kinds of situations as we see ourselves back on a small battlefield here.
And back on small battlefield because Small Left did not win on this stage, so they just opt to run it back here for this pivotal game 3. Peach Fuzz takes this one. It's a massive lead, and it's going to take a lot for University of Hawaii to come back. Small Left trying to keep them within striking distance if they can, but once again, it's an early lead for Peach Fuzz, 92-56 right now, using the gyro to fight their way back. Rapid jab will intercept Peach Fuzz's approach. Now the switch to Pyra, down air, looking for a follow-up, but they don't pull the trigger on anything quite yet. Good patience by Small F, but the jump gets caught once more. They should be able to make it back here. They are forced to air dodge, but they do get back to stage. 129 to 116, both players in the red, looking for that strong hitbox here. Who will make the first error? Who will overstep here? Good parry, but Small F unable to punish. Neutral air gets stuffed out by the laser once more, and Small F just has to fight through seemingly a wall of either arms or projectiles from Peach Fuzz, and nearly able to take a stock with that up air.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, never mind. That side B does still kill center stage. Good to know. I think maybe a little bit of suspect DI there as well. Just trying to come in and getting clipped by the last hitbox and not being ready for it. You know, correct me if I'm wrong here, so I feel like this is the most even we've seen this set so far. It feels like someone has had a control, you know, a solid control, I should say, of the pace of the game every single time we've watched these two players interact with each other so far. But so far, it seems like so far this game, it's like neither of them can really get a solid grasp on the pace of the game and keep a solid handle on it.
You can feel the tension between the two players. You're absolutely right. This is the closest it's been between these two. 178 on the Small F, so one hit from Peach Fuzz, one good, strong hit, especially on the mid-throw, should do the trick. But Small F not making it easy. Wow, even neutral air does not take the stock quite yet. Small F's ability to survive is massive here. And that side B, yeah, Pyra's side B just a little bit better than the side B of the Rob, but great patience there. Peach Fuzz with the mix-up in the pacing in that recovery, gets back with the up air and takes one stock off the board. 75% on Peach Fuzz's second stock, but starting to chip away, starting to use those projectiles. But Small F, I think a little bit more patient on these approaches, you know, not looking for the full extension, just kind of taking their one or two hits and then immediately evacuating and resetting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you have to do. I think Peach Fuzz has kind of proved that is what you have to do, you know, in this game too. So, you know, kudos for swapping up the game plan. I think something that a lot of players, especially top players, can struggle with. You know, they're all great at adapting, but sometimes it can feel like you just want to jam your own playstyle just because you think you are the better player. And kudos to, you know, not getting caught up in your own bravado here, to just kind of do what works and not, you know, what isn't, quite frankly. But still, finally gonna find the hit here. 70% on Small Left. I would say that that's actually a pretty decent, pretty close set, you know, percent for this set, but the way Peach Fuzz has been playing, these stocks have been going to a pretty high percent. So honestly, I still think Small Left has a pretty good amount of time to get some extra credit here on this stock.
Especially the way Small Left has been surviving up to these high percents. Oh boy, this could be a lot though. Peach Fuzz off the grab. They're able to find a forward air. Not too much afterward though. 110 onto Small Left. Holds shield through that laser. Maybe a chance here for an opening. Peach Fuzz looking for a back air. How do they catch this Pyramid in the corner? On the platform, they get them with the up air, and only 18% separate them on last stock.
Yeah, one of the earliest stocks we've seen Peach Fuzz take, and really finding that early stock when it counts here. This was the one that they really needed to get. Jab 1-2 going to come through for Peach Fuzz here. The second hit going to connect, continue that advantage state here. Small Left is slowly losing the handle on this game here, able to find some percent back, but I don't think it's going to be quite enough to shake off Peach Fuzz, who actually is having trouble getting off of this ledge. Got to keep in mind, Rob is a big body, so we do not mind eating, you know, 30-40% here, but as we start to get into this, you know, 50-60% unanswered, it is starting to become a bit of a problem. We did get some strong hits in, we are getting some trades, we are stabilizing a bit here, but it might be a little bit too late to recover the pace of the match.
Big grab, 110 to 74. Still within reach for both players. It's a big up air, 85%. Gotta be very careful. So many damaging hitboxes that Pyra can throw out. Peach Fuzz able to back air their way within reach of the ledge, and they will just snap to it. What a great sidestep there. Forward tilt only finds a shield. Gyro looking for the follow-up. Won't be able to do so. Neutral air stops Small Left. Gyro lands. Laser does not. 127 to 120. Next strong hit in theory should do it, but both players have shown great survivability. Maybe a chance here at the back here, but no, only finds air. Now another one. This one nearly kills Peach Fuzz off the side. 140 on the right side of the stage, able to grab the ledge. Pyro still lingering, and they'll catch the recovery to the platform. It's the falling up air to do the trick, and with a minute remaining, Small F takes set 3.
Small left barely squeezing that one out, but that up air to catch those jump ins off of the side, off of the ledge there. We've seen that time and time again in this match. Peach Fuzz thinks that area is clear, as we see Small left will go for the short hop, threaten to have an empty hop or threaten to just throw out, the side B, cover that ledge, but no, just going to catch that jump in. Again, really, really good stuff from Small left. Really good to recognize it. Something that we actually hadn't seen for a little bit, and then to come back out and just pull that trick back out of the bag. Sometimes it's just about, object permanence, quite frankly. Throw enough stuff at them that they forget that this is something, a habit that you have, and then suddenly when you pull it back out again, you get the punish, and it's, absolutely determinative in the game state.
Especially when there was so much to worry about. It was so nail-bitingly close between these two, and every minute interaction they had to think so hard about, and you have to think about those decisions in fractions of seconds, and in that instance, again, like you said, just able to find that up air and able to sneak underneath. So, a very tightly contested third set, but one that Small left pulls out with a W with, and now we've got a scoreline of 6-10 with 2 sets remaining. So Hawaii still within striking distance of UTA, but it is the Mavericks in the lead, and they now get the chance to counterpick for set number 4.
You've got a little bit to work with here, but I mean, this is anyone's game here. Looks like we're gonna have Atomic, for UTA versus Gardenia for Hawaii. We've got the, Pokemon Stadium 2. We've got the button check coming. Now, quite frankly, I do think, again, like I mentioned before, putting Small left in to kind of stem that momentum does hurt UT Arlington here, for sure. I mean, even just putting points on the board hurts them, but I mean, just kind of being able to cut off the win streak there makes it a lot harder for UT Arlington to come back into these game 4s and 5s. But on the other side of, the coin, we have put in one of our strongest players already, and I'd argue a couple of our strongest players already from Hawaii. Granted, the whole roster is just packed full of talent, but I mean, UT Arlington, again, Atomic we still have left. Beastly we haven't seen come out yet today. I mean, we still have plenty left in the tank for UT Arlington, and Hawaii feels like they're just trying to, grasp and hold on to just some foothold here, while UT Arlington is just kind of like, they're chilling, quite frankly. If I'm UT Arlington, even if my momentum has been stopped here, I feel comfortable relying on just the strength of my players here to carry us through the rest of the match.
If UTA win this set without giving up a game, that will put them, if it's the bare minimum, it would take a near perfect series from Hawaii just to get to a tie. That's how vital this set is, and Hawaii putting their hopes on Gardenia to hopefully stay alive in this series. Gardenia, the snake player for the University of Hawaii, another player that for the Rainbow Warriors made that trip over to Port Priority 8 and was able to compete in that major, but Atomic is a whole nother beast. They have been so good this season, 3-1 on the year, and also rocking the Rob. So Snake versus Rob, likely the matchup. We have seen Gardenia go Ridley before, but I'd imagine the Snake is the more practiced, the more tried and true. So we'll have to see what Gardenia opts for, but assuming it is Snake versus Rob, I'm not sure who I favor in that matchup.
I mean, well, for one, if it's the Ridley, MDVA special after my own heart here as a player. But I think, honestly, it's very easy to say that Rob is a big body and that, it's going to be hard for Rob to deal with other projectiles. and I think that's because I'm going to go with that. I think that is the. I think, quite frankly, you don't really have to look that much harder into this matchup to realize that none of the other interactions, that Rob has with characters like Snake, who again also is pretty tall, all things considered. I think they're just not going to come into play because, again, Rob has to get there first, and that is going to be a challenge. But, I mean, if that Rob can get in, we can absolutely do some damage here. We've got a lot of devastating throw combos against the Snake as well. Jumping out, mashing out is going to be a little bit harder as you're not going to pop out as high on Snake, and just your hitbox being that much longer than a character like Aegis. It's going to make it a lot more difficult, and also you don't have access to stuff like Foresight, so it's just going to be that much harder to get out of like those up tilt up air juggles if the situations come up. And again, also Rob is kind of like the zoner anti-zoner. Gyro can stop a lot of aggression, including some grenades, but at the end of the day, I do think I would have to give the edge here to Snake just a little bit, just because, again, Rob is big, and I think that's just something, as much of a meme as it is, you really can't overlook it in this matchup.
We'll have to see if they play to that pace. Atomic has gotten some big wins under their belts in the past couple of weeks. Gardenia, again, not a ton of time in the spotlight, only played in 3 weeks, but still been good, 2-1 on the season, and a turning point really for both teams is about to take place because, again, not a ton of teams in this split for the EGFC, and the fact that these are the two at the top, if you get the win here, you've got that head-to-head tiebreaker down the line for when playoffs come about, especially with University of Delaware, our defending league champs, lingering there at one loss, just waiting to have their shot at either of these two. And I believe Delaware actually gets to play against University of Hawaii next week, or at least for week 8 of the EGFC action. But both of these teams would love to have themselves that tiebreaker as the number 1 seed if they can, but they gotta start with a W here. Gardenia, Atomic, Snake, Rob, PS2, game number 1 underway.
Ooh, already, actually, I'm being reminded. Oh my goodness, I'm being reminded that Rob has those. I mean, again, like I mentioned before, if we can get in, it's absolutely devastating to Snake, so we need to see Gardenia make this space a little better throughout the rest of the set. But I mean, off the starting platforms, I don't blame you for losing that immediately. It's not the easiest thing to deal with, but now that we've kind of stabilized, I would like to see a little bit more neutral game. So I didn't even really factor in those crouches actually coming out from Snake. They're real low. Also, actually, important to note that Gyro does interrupt that side B as well because it does put out a hitbox that it interacts with. But I'd like to see some crouches coming out from this Snake as well. Does duck under some of those lasers, not the fully charged ones, but the just the normal charged ones does put in some work against. Definitely could be something to look out for.
I'm also curious too. It just occurred to me, we saw Kyle earlier rocking the Snake, so this is a matchup that, in theory, Atomic should have some practice with. But, oh boy, holding shield on that side B was big. Gardenia looking for an opening, unable to find one. Good patience for Atomic. They roll back twice, but they'll get an up smash off the back of it. And now it's a substantial lead, 49%. Gardenia only landing that one hit, and now another opening for Atomic. They almost get a grab off the back of that one. 34 quickly racked up. Now a chase down onto the platform. Covering space here with a couple of these projectiles. Fighting through the neutral air was Atomic. And now, with a lead, he is not afraid to scrap, and these trades are going to benefit him and UTA with that one stock lead.
Absolutely. I mean, not quite lapping in percent here, but pretty close. You gotta remember, even though the percents are looking pretty good for Gardenia, this is after a full stock was missing, and we know also that Atomic does have those gyro conversions. We've already seen it come out this game, so even if we lose this second stock, it's not a guarantee that we'll even get one, because we could see just a little cheeky gyro combo come out at 0%, we're gonna have to see. Already have the gyro in hand. I think we're already going to be looking for it. We just need one nair here. Honestly, almost any conversion does it. Not quite able to find it, but still within that range where it is possible.
Gotta be careful here if you're Gardenia. Do not want to give up a massive point differential on their last stock here. Looking for a way to take one back at least. 94% on Atomic. A trade up high. Back air does not land. Gyro looking for a combo here. Atomic on the chase down once more. Neutral air into side B with all the rage. Is that going to do it? Yes! Atomic with a 3 stock in game number 1. And the Mavericks have a commanding lead.
Rob has those, and Atomic certainly has those as well. Fantastic stuff coming out to secure that final stock. I feel like Nair side B is something that we just don't account for enough. I mean, it just feels, I guess you don't really want to get hit by a neutral air no matter what, right? I think it converts, it kills, it can do so much for Rob. It's just scary no matter what part of it you're dealing with, but just a cheeky little kill confirm there. Really smart on Atomic to recognize that we have the space to go for this. That is just the perfect conversion, right? That is textbook. Like when you Google how to do Rob neutral air side B, this is the clip that plays. Like that was just beautiful, and I think it just shows how much practice and how comfortable Atomic is on this Rob now at this level of play that we are seeing. Both of these players are very clearly very comfortable on these characters and moving around the stages in these situations, but being able to do stuff like that under the pressure, well, I guess not that much pressure because you're still up 3 stocks, but under the pressure of, being, you have to perform here, you have to recover the momentum for your team, it's just fantastic. Really, really good stuff coming out from Atomic.
Extreme jitters is a real thing, but neither of these players have it. Atomic certainly does not. Commanding game number 1 here. Game number 2 on the small battlefield. Also, really have to commend the spacing of Atomic, too, to get that neutral air into side B, right? The fact that they were able to weave around Gardenia's hitbox and still just get that last second of neutral air to connect in that side B was beautifully executed. And just like that, game number 1 gone and over. Game number 2, even off the start here, but it is Gardenia now falling behind thanks to that side B. Look at the chase down, saying you're not safe on that recovery. I can follow you just as high with my gasoline. And now, maybe a chance off that up air. Parry on the down air. Gardenia's gotten a lot of good parries, but positionally, just not in a place to punish.
I will say, I do agree here. Gardenia has found these parries and has found some fantastic neutral openings, but Atomic just one step ahead. I'm loving how we are using this down air to stall out in the air and throw off Gardenia's timing. A lot of times you see, especially Rob, you see them fall with the neutral air, and you kind of know, right, that is your window to punish, your window to move, to jump, whatever you want to do. That is your window to get it done, because Rob can't necessarily do anything out of that neutral air if he's just hitting your shield, but Atomic just abusing that, getting the down air and landing pretty safely, because you're seeing Gardenia try to reposition under it and then finding those up smash punishes. Absolutely huge for Atomic, and that side B is going to find the second stock here. 93% on Atomic. That up air not quite going to do the trick, but we have found more percent than we found in game 1 at the very least. Oh my goodness, are we going to see it again?
Gardenia is not out of trouble yet. Gets a grab here though. Can't get the forward tilt. Atomic on the chase down once again. 66, make it 70 on the Gardenia's last stock. Forward throw, off stage, low recovery force. Cypher intercepts the down air that Atomic was going for, but down tilted away. Once again, looking to combo here with the gyro. Oh, but he got a parry on the hit. That's going to be big. Oh, but the side B gets interrupted from Gardenia. 155 onto Atomic. Gardenia's up to 117. All this rage. Someone is about to drop a stock here. Who will it be? Who will make the first error here? Gardenia looking to try and keep his team alive, but he's working on borrowed time on this stock. The laser will connect to make it 132 to 163. Crouching under the projectiles, and Atomic says, you have to come to me. Look at this. Still fighting through the center stage with everything lingering. Laser. Now the gyro will connect once more. Gardenia back to the side of the stage, but they are just running on fumes right now. Tie game at 163 exact percent, but the neutral air will stuff out any attempt back to the stage, and it's Atomic with back-to-back 3 stocks.
I mean, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. When you are in the lead, we have no reason to approach. I love seeing these players absolutely utilize the fact that you are in the lead and you don't need to do really anything besides play your own game, play at your own pace. Atomic, absolutely the master in this game of playing at their own pace here. We're just chilling. We're just chilling at center. You're on ledge. I'm chilling at center stage, throwing gyros at you. What you can do about it? I'm nowhere near you, bud. Like it's just so dominant of the neutral game here. And you know, credit where credit is due here. Gardenia, fantastic, you know, coming out on the snake here, making a lot of good adjustments in that game too, but Atomic just adapting, you know, way quicker than Gardenia was. And I mean, you just look at these situations where it's like, okay, maybe Atomic doesn't really need to adapt, but then they do anyways. Like, you didn't need to change your game plan at all. You would have just probably lost a stock or two going into that game too, but we chose to anyways just because we are the better player in this circumstance, and we are going to thoroughly prove it with double 3 stocks.
Atomic with a statement game in that series, and the statement was, you thought you were safe? No, Atomic goes out and secures those stocks, gets the job done. UTA will get a victory here this week, 18-6, our scoreline through 4 sets. We've still got one more to play out to see who will step into the ring here. Again, potential tiebreakers and such on the line here for this regular season match. But again, a massive victory, and Hawaii, after, you know, a lot of experience at Port Priority, they come back here and they have to play up against a team that has just rolled through the regular season since they've arrived in the EGFC, and UTA once again putting their foot down on the come-up teams of the EGF.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just wow. You know, that was it's just wow. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Just wow. It was so dominant. It was so. And maybe you can kind of relate to this, Soy. I feel like for me personally, that was the most dominant set I've watched that looked close. Again, it just felt like Gardenia was making all the right moves, but Atomic was just making them better and making them faster and making the decisions quicker, and it just led to the very dominant victory. But again, like you mentioned, we still have one more set coming out tonight. We do have Memphis coming out from UT Arlington versus Pizza Time coming out for Hawaii.
Yeah, and, a very different set, I guess. You know, like you mentioned, just that previous set, Atomic played, like you said, just so smart, so adaptive, and so ready for anything Gardenia brought to the table. Because Gardenia on Ridley, on Snake, you feel like they've got characters that usually take control of a matchup, or at least they have the emphasis, the agency in the matchup. And Atomic at every turn just felt like they ripped it from them, and all of a sudden UTA up to a massive lead. Again, it is a UTAW. Maximum amount of points Hawaii can earn here in this set is 8, which would put them up to 14, so it's just barely out of reach, but still gonna be giving it their all. Like you mentioned, the players Pizza Time and Memphis stepping into the ring. I'm curious to see how this will go, because excuse me, Memphis is a player we've seen a couple of times here on EGF. They were tournament champions at EGFH, and they joined UTA. So on this Peach, they haven't gotten a ton of time on stream, but a very high ceiling for this player, and I'm excited to see and watch, because again, having them been playing on the EGFH level, the high school level, and then transitioning to EGFC, curious to see how they'll do. But Pizza Time is a new player, I believe, to the side of Hawaii. We have not seen them at least this season, unless this is a tag change from previous years. But I mean, going up against a wild card, and we talked about it a little bit, there are some teams that kind of game plan for Hawaii differently because of the potential for internet connection to be a problem. Peach feels like that is a character that might, you might see the switch off potentially because of that connection, because I feel like there's so many quick options. But we are getting word that the Peach is locked in, or at least for the button check, that is the case. And the King K. Rool locked in for Pizza Time.
K. Rool is in the video game, and I'll tell you what, he pressed the A button and he attacks. He pressed the B button, he does special moves, and press the X button, he just jumps. And I got nothing more to say about that character. Honestly, I do think K. Rool's a little bit underrated and undervalued in the current meta. But, that's a discussion for another day. We're looking at what is happening here, and I'm excited to watch another Peach player break their hands to do combos. Very, 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 very high skill ceiling on this character. There's so much, almost infinite things you can do if you've mastered those float mechanics. And this will be my personal first time seeing this player in action. So you mentioned you have some, we have some history in the EGFH here. A lot of talent coming out of that entire scene as well. But this is a different, scene. This is the collegiate scene, a little bit older, a little bit more practiced are some of these players. So we're going to have to see if that is at all a factor in this matchup. But also, this is Peach K. Rool, so I don't know if we're necessarily going to see it come to fruition. It's just hard. This is kind of a hard matchup. Granted, Peach has to land those hits to begin with, which can be a little bit difficult on a character like K. Rool, who has just oodles of armor on all of those. And there's the down tilt, and we're going.
Yeah, the down tilt, the combo starter. And now the turnip in hand for a decent amount of damage. This to me feels like you're in a backwards way because of the way that Peach just kind of plays the game differently with the float mechanic. It feels like your classic combo character versus the heavy tank. If Pizza Time survives the combo, there's a good chance they can kill Memphis very early, but they have to survive, and it's so difficult to do right now. As you can tell, Pizza Time up to 193, and we're 45 seconds into the matchup. They haven't dropped the stock yet, but they will thanks to that back air. So many quick aerials thrown out by Memphis, and that's the advantage of the float, being able to just quickly jump, get that aerial out, cancel the float, get back down to the ground. Memphis taking full advantage of it on stock number 1.
Yeah, I think it took about 15 seconds to notice that Memphis had done all of the difficult Peach techs almost back to back. So, I mean, that kind of just cements where we're at in this game. This is going to be the war of attrition. Can Pizza Time keep out Peach long enough to put some good damage on the board? 86% already on Memphis here. I shouldn't say already. We're pretty decently far into the game, but still pretty good stuff. I mean, we're not out of it quite yet. And all things considered, we're playing decently well, but this is a hard matchup to have to deal with. And I mean, especially on a player who I'm already, calling is incredibly talented and probably one of the best Peaches I might have already seen in the EGFC. We're doing the float cancels, we're doing the throw cancels, we're doing them all, and we're doing it with style. That's what I like to see out of my Peach players.
Yeah, Memphis is just making this matchup look miserable for Peach Time, or for Pizza Time. It might be Peach Time the way that Memphis is playing, as they just continue to pelt this crocodile with turnip after turnip. The moment King K. Rool is off stage, there is no respite. They have to find ways to fight through. I thought something like the up B propellers might be able to clank, but that is not the case. The turnip is just too strong, too big a hitbox. Memphis on the chase down. They're forced to recover low, but again, not too much to do about it if you're Pizza Time. Good fade, though, with the neutral B. Not able to take a stock quite yet. Another low recovery from Memphis. This time we'll opt to fade back down through that platform. Maybe a chance here for Pizza Time to get something off the board. They do armor through. They threw the turnip back. They tried to throw it. I believe that was up there, but back here just faster. Memphis beats them to the punch once again, but that time Cannonball will connect, and that is stock number 1 off the board of Memphis.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, I'm seeing a lot of the hallmarks of a practiced K-roll as well, right? The up air stalling on the side of the stage. We are consistently, you know, throwing out hitboxes when that side B crown is returning. That's actually a really important thing. You can cut out almost the, well, not almost, you can cut out the entirety of the end lag of side B by throwing out a hitbox as the crown is returning to you. Oh, pulling a stitch at the end just insult to injury. I mean, Pizza Time is very clearly a talented K-roll player, honestly. I think I've seen enough to confidently make that call, but if we're looking at both the peaks of these characters, this is just what it looks like. This is a absolutely miserable matchup for K-roll to deal with.
Just so difficult the moment this character is off stage, and with such a big body, Memphis, you saw in the opening moments, they've got the float cancel combos down. It is so easy to just walk this big body across the stage all the way off, and like you said, they pull a stitch face at the end just for emphatic fashion. You know, I just, like you said, it feels like the ceiling for Peach is just a bit higher, and you know, I gasped too, because that's the second stitch face that he pulled, and he pulled a lot of turnips in that set, so maybe not the best odds to get some of those better ones. I think at one point too, he Pizza Time up aired through dot eyes, I want to say, in terms of that recovery. So, but still, like you said, it just, Memphis saw this matchup and said, all right, it's time to eat.
Yeah, I mean, it's Pizza Time. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, it feels bad in these situations, right? Where it feels like you can't even talk about. And this is just an unfortunate reality of the way that Smash Bros. Ultimate kind of the meta shakes out with how many matchups there are. There are bound to be a couple of matchups that are, you know, if not unwinnable, just incredibly difficult to deal with. And I think this is just one of those where, as long as, you know, the Peach player is operating around, you know, the same skill level as the K-roll, it's going to be just a dominant showing.
Curious to see what the adaptation is from Pizza Time here. They got a quick 51 racked up, and I still, you know, it still feels like the, you know, if Pizza Time survives, there's a chance he can take some stocks off the board, but it's just so difficult to win neutral when you are the slower character. You almost have to go for some of these heavier hits. Just look at the pace of play from Memphis, just like you said, mashing around the controller, but tactically so, in order to get those combos started with the turnip. 75 to 106 now. Pizza Time really reliant, it seems, on that cannonball, and it's such a committal option. Memphis is able to weave around it more times than not, but it still feels like that is one way they could potentially get back in the game because of the coverage of where that float wants to be. Even think about it, the crown kind of dipping around where Memphis wants to float into, but not until it comes back, and so you still have time to react as Memphis.
I mean, you know, like you mentioned, just mashing around on the controller here. I'm very personally of the opinion that if you're just watching high-level Peach, she's one of the more, we'll call it schizophrenic-looking characters, quite frankly, because it looks like she's just doing everything all at once. It looks insane. It looks like 4 different people are playing on the same controller, but I mean, it's optimal. And being able to throw out so many hitboxes so quickly and cover so many options by just float canceling into these forward airs, into these neutral airs, into these down airs even, to cover a bunch of, you know, the ledge space there by just floating around and throwing out down air, catches rolls, catches normal get-ups. It's something that K-roll has a lot of trouble dealing with. We see another combo get started here. 70% already. We got hit like 4 times. We're about to get hit 4 more times by turnips and probably lose the match here, but Pizza Time able to find it back in the neutral B, is going to secure. We got our 1 stock. K-roll mains, ring the bell. We got it, but 100%, I can't imagine that this is going to go on for much longer.
Memphis trying to close things out here with a 2 stock if they can. Floating everywhere. The crown on this character doing so much damage. The turnips now intercepting the recovery. 165. Ledge trump back air. Good night. Goodbye, Crocodile. The crown will sit high and mighty for UTA on this Peach, as it's going to be Memphis winning set number 5.
Fantastic stuff coming out from Memphis. Fantastic stuff coming out from all of UT Arlington here to take this win. I mean, what a debut, right? What a fantastic way to show off your talents and prowess in the EGFC than to play against Pizza Time here, who I mean, again, I feel like was a very talented K. Rool that we didn't get to see, too much of the cool stuff that this character can do because Peach K. Rool, right? This is the matchup.
The look on K. Rool's face as that ledge trump comes through to the, oh no.
Pretty much. He's like, oh, I've made a mistake by playing the game. I should have not grabbed the ledge. That's my bad. I'll do better next time.
The Battle of the Crowns, and the Peach Crown wins out 24-6. The final score here. University of Texas Arlington, they remain undefeated this season. A massive point victory. Hawaii take their first loss of the year. They now drop to 6-1, but still among the top 3 of the EGFC. UTA, and then 2 wins, or at least 2, I should say, losses. Hawaii and Delaware sitting right behind them. And UTA, they've got to be feeling good. The fact that in this circuit, in this early part of the year, going through everyone once, the fact that they come out undefeated over top of the defending league champions of Delaware, over top of Hawaii, who feel like they were, the third horse in this arms race of top players in the EGFC. The fact that they shut down both of those teams, they've got to be feeling really good.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got to be feeling really good when you're pulling people like Memphis out of the back pocket just out of nowhere. You're just showing that your roster runs deep, and that's got to be, scary if you're watching these VODbacks, if you're doing your homework. That's terrifying to watch, this player that, again, we've mentioned has been in the EGFH but has not been in the EGFC. I mean, it's scary to see that coming from your most dominant team, is that they still have pockets that go deeper. And I mean, I got to imagine that's one of the reasons that they are so talented and have so much skill on this roster, is that you have people like Memphis who aren't even on, they're not even at the front of the line for these, but they're, in those practice sessions, I imagine, playing with everyone, and everyone's just improving rapidly because you have so many talented players, bumping heads against each other, running new ideas and everything. It's just, if you're Arlington, you love to see it. If you're everyone else, you're very scared to see it.
And this feels, too, like not only a massive victory to take down another undefeated squad, but the point differential. I feel like, once again, the turning point of this set was really set number 4, where Gardenia gets completely locked out by Atomic. And that just shows, again, like you said, the depth of this roster, playing so smart. And UTA is one of these schools that's had a decent amount of turnover. They used to have a ton of veterans on this team. Curry on characters like the Incineroar, the Snake, the Sonic, Army Ollie on unique picks like Olimar and Snake. Smoke was a key in their championship run back in Season 3 with the Pikachu and the Inkling. But a lot of those guys, Phenom, I believe, as well, also has graduated. And yet, they have fully replaced the talent. Davey and Beasley are still around, but all of these young up-and-comers, all the underclassmen for UTA, have played phenomenally, including, I have to point out Kyle for his success on characters that we don't frequently see. We see Roy, but Prom, just slightly different, and he is getting massive, massive victories. Atomic getting a 3-stock against Gardenia, that's such a huge difference maker down the line. It just shows the prowess that UTA have. And once again, Hawaii, very close still at the end of the day. There's a lot of talent on this team. You can tell that the key pieces are there. They just weren't quite able to put it all together this week.
Yeah, I think we got the chance to see something really rare tonight here. So I think we got the chance to see players who were clearly, at the tops of their crafts and, performing at such a high level, still just get blown out of the water. That's not something you see very often outside of literally MKLeo in pools, right? Like this kind of performance where you can clearly tell that both of these teams are so incredibly talented, but then have it as skewed as it was. That's something I don't think we're going to really see replicated for the rest of the season, at least until we see these two clash again. But we unfortunately don't have any interviews for you from UT Arlington. It's getting pretty late over there. It's getting pretty late over here as well for all of us here at EGFC. So we are going to wrap it up here at 11:38. Not bad, not bad. Thank you again all for watching. Shout out to House of 3K. Please go follow them on Twitter. Production was lovely tonight. Soy, if you have any last words, go for it.
Yeah, sure. Be sure to check out officialEGF on all of their social sites, just to keep up to date with the schools that you want to follow. Be sure to check out the other games that the EGF covers coming up throughout the rest of the week. And remember, we are on a 2-week break for SSBU. We've got Thanksgiving break coming up next week, which means we're back towards the end of November. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time for more SSBU action.